There are several thousand collisions involving trains each year, which result in over 1,000 injuries and several hundred deaths. A majority of these deaths occur when someone is struck by a train while trespassing on railroad property. Remember, railroad property is private property. Trespassing along railroad property is not only against the law, it's very dangerous. Avoid taking shortcuts. The only safe place to cross railroad tracks is at a designated crossing. Don't get caught dead on the tracks. Stay off, stay away, stay alive.
It's Elmhurst, our kind of town. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Langhorst Field here on the campus of Elmhurst College. I'm Tim Calderwood. Tony Minestra is alongside. Today, it's Community Day as the Elmhurst College Bluejay football team opens the 2010 home portion of their schedule against the University of Chicago Maroons. Tony, head coach Tim Lester is in his third year at the helm of this Elmhurst College squad, and his team has never lost in the month of September.
How about that? Yeah, Coach Lester inherits quite a record now. You have to go back to the better part of this decade to find the last loss in the non-conference schedule. It was 2002. The opponent in that contest was this very University of Chicago team.
Elmhurst coming into play today on the heels of a 37-7 victory in Michigan last week over Olivet College. Running back Scotty Williams chosen as the CCIW Offensive Player of the Week.
CCIW Offensive Player of the Week, big award for Scotty Williams. Not the biggest guy on the football field, though. I love watching the kid play. He plays with power, he plays with elusiveness. He's a big part of the offense, and he's going to have to be today as well.
Not only that, but the defense very strong last week. Scotty Williams, in fact, almost by himself outgained the entire Olivet squad. Randy Wright, the anchor of the offense, a preseason All-American.
Hey, anytime you have a conversation about Elmhurst College defense, that begins with Randy Wright and ends with Randy Wright. A 2008 third-team All-American player, preseason All-American like you mentioned, and the kid's dynamic. He's all over the field. He's sideline to sideline. I'm watching number 6 today in blue.
Elmhurst kicks off against the University of Chicago right after this. Elmhurst opening the home portion of the 2010 campaign today against the University of Chicago. The Blue Jays lead the series 7-1 in this, the 9th meeting of the year, but that one victory, Tony, as we talked about, the lone September loss for the Blue Jays back in 2002. They've won 25 September games in a row. What have the Blue Jays been able to do that's made them so successful here in the early portion of the season?
Well, you know, I think in the non-conference schedule, you're talking about a different animal than CCIW. Everybody knows things change when you get into that conference schedule. And traditionally, the non-conference schedule has not been as challenging, to be honest with you. It's a roster that has grown over the past few years, so they're able to, depth-wise, sort of lean on a lot of these teams that are a little bit undermanned.
Elmhurst will be kicking off to begin the ball game as J.R. D'Alessandro places the football down at the 30-yard line. D. Brizzalara back deep for Chicago, standing at about his own 5-yard line. And with that, the 2010 home season ready to begin in a matchup of a pair of 2-0 teams today, the Blue Jays and the Maroons from the University of Chicago. D'Alessandro leads the attack to the football, end over end, high and deep, backing up. And at the goal line is Brizzalara. Brizzalara angling right, using a block, crossing the 20, out to the 25, and out of bounds near the 27-yard line. And that is where Chicago will begin on offense today. Tony, how about that Chicago offense?
Yeah, when you talk about the Chicago offense, you're talking about an explosive unit. Here's a team so far this year that has beaten Beloit, scored 28, and they put 56 up on Concordia. They can score points quickly, and we'll talk about the receivers here going forward.
What kind of game do you think we're in for today? Offense or defense? I think it could go either way depending on how you look at it.
I guess it depends on what coach you're talking to. You know, Coach Adam feels like he has a good plan defensively, but I'm sure the Maroons will come after him here.
Quarterback for the University of Chicago, Marshall Ohm, a senior out of Temecula, California, begins the ball game in the shotgun formation. 1st and 10 for Chicago from their own 27. The give goes straight ahead to Adarkwa, angling left, and he's met right away, maybe to the 28-yard line for a gain of 1.
And here's a kid, Adarkwa. We talked about Scotty Williams in the pregame. A dark one now, 51 carries so far in the 2 games, 271 yards. Kid's averaging 5.3. He's got 6 touchdowns, so certainly a threat for them in the backfield.
There's your second look.
Run a little zone play there, not able to hit the crease.
2nd and 9. Pass to the right side, broken up. Great defense by the Blue Jays. Sneaking in to knock it away is Dane Paul.
Dane Paul, 4th-year player now. He's been in the starting lineup now for the better part of the 4 seasons, and that's just recognition now by Dane Paul. Telegraphing the play a little bit here is William. Paul able to get in the passing lane.
Looking the way of Brizolara. Brings up a 3rd down and 9 for Chicago. Less than a minute into the opening quarter here from Langhorst Field in Elmhurst. Ohm out of the shotgun. A dark one on his right hip. With time, stepping up in the pocket, and now he'll keep. Rolling left, crossing the 35 towards the 1st down marker, falling ahead for a Chicago 1st down. A broken play for the quarterback, Ohm, resulting in an 11-yard gain on the scramble and a Maroons 1st down.
Pressure can be very effective defensively. Here you see some twist games up front by the defensive line, but it also gets you scrambling a little bit defensively as you see 2 Jays crossing in each other's path. A little bit of confusion in the defensive backfield.
So 1st and 10 for Chicago from their own 38.
Tim, one of the first things I noticed here is that the Jays are staying with their traditional lineup. Although Chicago likes to come out in 4 wide receivers, Randy Wright and the other 2 linebackers still on the field.
Play action, Ohm over the middle, too high and nearly picked off. In and out of the hands of Kyle Demas, the senior safety for the Blue Jays.
Here we see Demas with an opportunity. Demas is a 2nd-year starter now, really blossomed last year in his 1st year, playing full-time for the Jays, and got to take care of that one, Kyle.
Overshot looking for Clay Wolf, the leading receiver for this Chicago squad. The Maroons have something on the line today as well. Clay Wolf named to the D3Football.com Team of the Week. Elmhurst showing blitz on the left side. 2nd and 10 for Ohm with 13:42 in the first. Scoreless game. Handoff straight ahead to Adarkwa. Shuffling right, cutting back to his left and into Elmhurst territory. A gain of 12 on the play and a 1st down for Chicago.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get another look at Adarkwa here. Yeah, great vision now. Anytime you're running the zone play, you're pressing the line of scrimmage, looking for the cutback. It shows up, slips it through. Great gain for the Maroons.
Boy, is he a shifty back. 123 yards last week in the win over Concordia Chicago. And so the Maroons have it at the Elmhurst 48. Ohm dropping back, stepping up, throwing complete. Brizolara with the reception down near the 30-yard line. Jamal Lane on the stop for the Blue Jays, and Chicago faced with a 3rd and 9 on their very first series, converted, and they've moved it all the way now down into scoring position, potentially here on their opening drive of the day.
A little bit concerning here for the Jays defense. They're playing non-traditionally a little bit soft here with their coverage. Not a lot of pressure coming off the edge. We'll see if they change things up.
Spotted at the 31 officially, 1st and 10. Here's Adarkwa off the right side to the 25, lowering his shoulder inside the 25, down to the 23. A gain of 8 for Adarkwa.
Yeah, I got to tell you right now, Tim, that right now at the edge, the Jays are really hurting. Matt Street is a defensive end, and then Ryan McGuire getting caged down, you see there. Janis is having to scrape over the top, and anytime corners and safeties are making plays 6 and 7 yards downfield, we got issues up front.
2nd and 3. Chicago on the opening drive of the ball game, no score. Elmhurst shows blitz up the middle. Adarkwa recognizes as he receives the draw, angles left towards the 1st down marker. I believe he'll be just short, but it'll be a 3rd and inches for the Maroons.
Sort of able to control the pace here and kind of do what they want with the Jays front 4. Brought a little pressure that time. You got to be careful, though. There's some receivers on the edges here in Clay Wolf and Brizolara that can make some plays.
Want to mention one of the new things here with Elmhurst in 2010. Check out BluejayTV.com. You can see the games live and in progress. Ohm, back right corner on a fade. Too strong for Brizolara out of the back of the end zone. He wanted contact with Lane to no avail from the field judge. And speaking of the officials, Mike Cunningham, our referee, Ed Beavers, the umpire. Phil Way, the head linesman. Wes Fritz is the line judge. Larry Babcock, the back judge. Ryan Fitzsimmons on the side. And Damian Perkins is the field judge. And so Chicago will line up to try to get on the board with a field goal. It is spot at the 29-yard line. It'll be a 39-yard attempt for Jeff Sauer, the sophomore out of Saddle River, New Jersey. The kick is up and it's blocked. All kinds of pressure coming up the middle for the Blue Jays. Dane Paul was in there along with Ryan Bach as the field goal attempt is blocked by the Blue Jays, and Chicago's first trip down the field comes up short.
Hey, little surprise there, Tim, to be honest with you, that Chicago didn't press the issue and kind of go after the Jays a little bit, seemingly moving the ball at will, running the zone play to effectiveness. There you see, got a hand on it. You definitely want to stay away from that ball, but big lift for the Jays.
It's 4th and inches, too.
Sure.
I mean, you would think you could keep it straight ahead with a home under center to be able to pick up that yard needed to at least give yourself 4 more tries. So the Blue Jays take over. No score first quarter, 11:33 to play. And we'll get our first look at the Elmhurst offense. Joe Furco, the sophomore quarterback out of Wheaton Warrenville South, is under center with Scotty Williams behind him, the CCIW Offensive Player of the Week. Williams with the call on the first play, cuts up the middle, and he's met right away across the 25-yard line as the tackle is recorded by Danny Polineski.
Tim, we talked in the open about how the pressure of Elmhurst's defense has created so many sacks and generates turnovers. Here we see Scotty Williams cutting it back. But how about Chicago? They rank 8th currently in Division III, averaging 4.5 sacks a game. They bring some pressure on their own, and last week, Matt Sargent was named to D3 Football's All-American team, recording 3 sacks a week ago.
2nd and 3. The spot is the 28-yard line. Furco calls out the play, hands it off to Williams, but it's a play action, and he's looking deep along the left side. He's got a man open and a whole lot of contact. Rodney Payton was wide open. Take your pick, whether it was Emmett Carrier or Sevi Francis Shelley on the defense. Both got a piece of Payton, incomplete deep down the field, but a pass interference upcoming.
They need Payton to stretch the field, take the top off the defense. Little play action here by Furco. Great job by the offensive line. Furco just cuts it loose.
Let's hear our officials here in a few moments with the call. There's plenty of contact before the pass arrived. As the referee chatting with the Blue Jays about the call. And he'll take the football and mark it up. Big first penalty. There's Tim Lester, the Elmhurst College head coach.
Quite a quarterback in his own right, so Joe Furco has quite a mentor, coaching him every single day. Tim's a record-setting quarterback at Western Michigan.
May have noticed from that shot that Tim Lester and the rest of his Elmhurst College coaching staff are among more than 500 coaches joining forces this year to support the American Football Coaches Association Coach to Cure MD program. I'll tell you more about that in a moment as Williams with the carry, met at the line of scrimmage. He'll fall forward for about a yard. Now in its 3rd year, Coach to Cure MD has raised more than $500,000 to help battle Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Normally held on September 25th, the Elmhurst coaches are choosing today to wear patches on their sleeves in an effort to raise awareness because the Blue Jays are off next week. You can do your part to help search for a cure. To donate $5 to Coach to Cure MD, text the word CURE to 90999. A $5 donation will then automatically be added to your next cell phone bill. Payton with the reception into the Chicago side, falling ahead towards the 40-yard line, and another Elmhurst first down.
Tim, Rodney's a guy they need to get going, too. Here you see Joe on the 3-step, getting it out quickly. He's a guy that can blow the top off the defense, too, and you don't have to always connect on a lot of these long balls. The threat sometimes opens up things underneath, and that's something they've been missing from this offense in recent years.
1st and 10. Scotty Williams running right to the 40 and drop there.
Yeah, and it's a new set of receivers looking at the lineup now by Tim Lester. Graduated as Blake Veldheis, an all-conference receiver. Gone as Mitch Homer, their big target in the end zone, in the red zone. Now you see a Joe St. Peter, a Corey Thon, a Rodney Payton. A lot of speed, a lot of elusiveness.
2nd and 8 for Elmhurst from the Chicago 40. No score, first quarter. Elmhurst on its first offensive possession of the ball game after Chicago's 39-yard field goal attempt was blocked. In motion comes Ryan Bach. Furco to throw, and he's going to be dropped in the backfield. He tries to throw it away. Was he down beforehand? There goes the flag. Furco just threw it to get rid of the football. It'll be ruled as intentional grounding, likely on the sophomore quarterback. There was 3 Chicago players on his back. He was just trying to avoid the sack.
Little play action look. Mike linebacker comes free, and we had mentioned it in the beginning of the drive. Chicago will bring some pressure.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 7, spot foul, loss of down, 3rd down.
There is the call. It is 3rd down for the Elmhurst offense, and that is a big loss, dropping them all the way back to their own 47. It is 3rd and 22 for this Elmhurst offense.
I'll tell you, a huge key to this season is going to be the maturation process of young number 7. If Joe Furco can get things rolling, and so far so good, this offense is going to look pretty scary.
Chicago tight with coverage. Furco dumps it off for Williams, who drops it. Screen play to try to get some room perhaps and see what could open up, but Scotty Williams could not hang on. Williams developed into one of the top receivers for the Blue Jays this year as well.
Hey, I like it. Hey, the idea is you get the ball in your best player's hand as early and as often as possible. You know, Williams has shown some ability in the open field. There you get a look at our Elmhurst College president. But Scotty Williams, he's electric now in the open field, and you get some bodies out in front of him, and you hope for the best.
9 different players have caught passes for the Blue Jays this season, but Scotty Williams could not come up with the catch on 3rd and long, and Elmhurst will punt it away. Back deep is Brizzalara, and he lets it go over his right shoulder, bouncing through the back of the end zone for a touchback.
A little bit sluggish pace here early for the Jays. You know, you figure this is your last non-conference game, looking forward to the bye week, heading into CCIW competition 2 weeks down the road. You have to be careful in a spot like this not to become too complacent. You know, you've had that streak going that we spoke about in the early going, but, you know, the Jays really have to turn it up here.
So the Maroons on offense for the 2nd time today. Ohm will give to Adarkwa, straight ahead across the 20 out to the 23.
You see Ryan McGuire playing a stand-up end here. They run the zone again. McGuire has to come down the line a little bit flatter to force that issue.
I mentioned BlueJayTV.com, your spot to catch live Elmhurst College athletics action, not just football. We'll have some volleyball and some soccer for you on tap as well. Ohm to throw, pressure from behind, hit as he throws, incomplete. Looking for the wide receiver Clay Wolf, who couldn't make the catch as he fell out of bounds. Randy Wright on his back defensively.
Clay Wolf, a guy already in the early going, 296 receiving yards. 16 catches already and 3 touchdowns. So a couple of targets now for William to go after with Brizzalara, last year's leader.
So it is a 3rd and 7 for Chicago with 8:22 to play in the first quarter. No score of yet. The Maroons with a couple of big 3rd down conversions on their first drive.
You got to look for pressure here.
Ohm out of the shotgun. Stepping, and he's crushed. Pounded as he threw the ball. Great defense from Jerry Beach, the junior defensive end from Forsyth, Illinois, on the back of the Chicago quarterback, and he could not get very much on the attempt for Brizzalara.
There you get a look at Clay Brizzalara there coming off the field, and check out this stunt action coming around. Linebacker coming home. Beach around the edge. I'll tell you, Jerry Beach, he can cause some issues off the edge. He's a guy that's got a high motor. They like to work him in some games, and he comes free there.
The punt is short, bouncing at midfield and rolling down to the 38-yard line. And the Blue Jays will take over for the 2nd time today in a scoreless first quarter.
You know, one of the things I'm looking at today, Tim, is how this offensive line holds up. So far, so good running the football. They've been very effective in the early going, but as the level of competition sort of rises here, we'll see if this patchwork offensive line can come together. Charlie Homoki, a starter last year, and Personius, a starter last year. But Brett Virgil, Chris Kirkpatrick, Stamos. Haven't seen a lot of time. We'll see if they can gel together and start to get some consistent effort.
1st and 10 for the Blue Jays. Furco with a hard count. Forces some movement on the line of scrimmage, and it'll be on the Blue Jays first. Perhaps that was why the entire Chicago defensive line flinched rather than the hard count from Furco. I believe, if I heard it right anyway, that they called Eric Personius for the movement, the right tackle.
Eric Personius, a guy who's played a few different positions up and down the line. Pretty versatile guy. Senior leader, the only senior on the offensive line.
So the Blue Jays backed up 5 yards. It's a 1st and 15. Furco rolling right. Looks left. Goes deep for Peyton. Well overthrown. Incomplete. But fortunately for the Blue Jays, he also overthrew Wolfgang Connell, the free safety in coverage.
Furco there knew he missed an opportunity. Rodney, as we mentioned, quite an athlete. I mean, he'll blow the top off the defense right now, but what Chicago's doing is playing bracket coverage.
But there's a flag on the play, or was it dropped? The umpire just had it fall out of his pocket. It is 2nd and 15. That's a tough play for Furco, rolling right and then having to throw across his body deep. He's still got a pretty good throw on it for Peyton. 2nd and 15. Scotty Williams right side, tripped up in the backfield.
And as good as Joe has been so far in the early going, and he started the better part of last year, sometimes we forget that the two guys on the Jays offense that touch the ball the most often, Joe Furco and Scotty Williams, they're sophomores. And there's a maturation process they're going to have to go through here. Williams just hog-tied off the right tackle.
Cameron Grimes reaching out for Chicago. Recording the stop. No gain on the play. 3rd and 15. 7:25 first quarter. Nothing.
I'm looking to see what they do with Corey Thon and Ryan Bach down the seams here.
Furco dropping back. Throwing for Peyton. Caught! What a catch! One-handed for Rodney Peyton, who brings it into his numbers to secure the grab for a first down. That's a tough throw into double coverage.
Heck of a play. Put it on a line, and young man went and got it.
There's another look. There's the double coverage with the safety help over the top, and Peyton just brought it into himself.
Took the shoulder hit. Outstanding by number 4.
Spotted at the Chicago 46, 1st and 10 for the Elmhurst. Williams working left, crossing the 45, shoved out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Wolfgang Connell with another tackle for Chicago.
Well, they're making a consistent effort to the running game here. And, you know, in talking with Coach Lester over the past couple of seasons, he sort of gets this reputation of slinging it around a little bit, but he's a guy that will tell you over and over again, you have to find balance, you have to run the football. They ran the football more than ever last year, and Scotty Williams is carrying the load again this year.
Bach in motion, coming back to the left. Furco with a play action, dumps it off for Bach. He has a first down along the near sideline, pushed out at the 31-yard line. Wolfgang Connell again with a stop for the Maroons.
Little bootleg action. Hey, this Ryan Bach kid now is pretty versatile. They'll line him up at fullback. You'll see him in the slot. He's a matchup nightmare as a tight end, too. What do you do with him? Do you use a safety? Do you use a linebacker? Kid's athletic, and he's only a sophomore.
Out of St. Joseph, Michigan, another one of those sophomores involved for head coach Tim Lester in his 3rd season with the Blue Jays. And remember, his first season he came in pretty late, so last year was really his first true recruiting class. Furco looking left, throws complete to Ton with a reception at the 24-yard line.
And as you mentioned the recruiting class, one of the things as you peruse the roster is you'll notice that student athletes from all over the country are finding their way to Elmhurst, Illinois. You have Kentucky, you have Florida, Michigan, Texas, California. Spreading out the recruiting is bringing in better athletes, and it's starting to reflect on the field.
Scotty Williams looking for an opening. There's nothing there. Driven to the ground by Danny Polineski. Chicago has won 4 of their last 5 road games. They're looking for a 3-0 start. It would be their first 3-0 start since 2001. Not only that, longtime head coach Dick Maloney searching for his 80th win in his career this afternoon. If he comes up with that number, he would be the first coach since Amos Alonzo Stagg to win 80 games at the University of Chicago. Again, it's Bach in motion on a 3rd and 8. Furco backpedaling, stepping up, throwing. It's caught by Ton at the 20-yard line. He will have a first down for the Blue Jays.
Like the way Ton works the middle of that zone, finding some spaces. Here we see a true 5-step drop by Furco. Ton able to find the soft spot, slipping in between the linebackers.
Ton is becoming a favorite target of Furco today. Coming into the ball game, had only 2 catches in the first 2 games of the year. He's got that early on today as well. Down to 4.5 in a scoreless first. Pump fake over the middle, looking for Ton again, and a little bit too out of his reach.
You know, in talking to Coach Kyle Derrickson, our receivers coach, he said this crop of receivers this year, there's no true number 1, which he kind of likes. You know, last year maybe they forced the ball a little bit to Blake Veldhuis. But, you know, this year he feels confident that he can spread it around. 4 or 5 different guys can really contribute.
Some of the Community Day crowd here at Langhorst Field on a cool one. Overcast, but the rain from this morning has subsided. It feels like football season, that's for sure. Furco over the middle to Ton. He's hit inside the 15 at the 13-yard line. Stop recorded by Alex Zerbicki and Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, right now, what you don't see in that picture is the offensive line is having a hard time protecting Furco. They're shortening up his steps. Personius that time gave the edge to Sargent.
They'll try Scotty Williams, and he's tripped up in the backfield. Jake Longton out of Sioux City, Iowa. An ankle tackle of Scotty Williams for a loss of 2 back to the 14. And so it is a 4th down for the Blue Jays, and they will line up for a field goal. J.R. D'Alessandro setting up at the 21-yard line. It'll be a 31-yard attempt out of the hold of Zach Chaffee. Elmhurst looking for the lead. The hold is good. The kick is low and left. No good. And Elmhurst, like Chicago, fails to come up on a field goal try here in the first quarter. J.R. D'Alessandro missing his 2nd field goal of the season. The senior out of Darien, Illinois. Let's get a second look.
Chaffee does a nice job getting the ball down. D'Alessandro kind of rushes through it and not able to get the rhythm.
3 wide for Chicago with a tight end on the left side. Ohm looking right, complete. Targeted all the way for D. Brizolara. Gain of about 6 on the play.
Well, Jamal Lane playing a little soft out there on the edge. See just a quick release here, and they're going to challenge you all day. Get rid of the football and let Brizolara and Wolf make plays out in the open field.
Second and 3. Ohm will give. Adarkwa off right edge. First down and more. Breaks free down the near sideline. To the 30. To the 20, inside the 15-yard line, and he's shoved out of bounds. A big, big play for Francis Adarkwa. John Janis with a touchdown-saving tackle for Elmhurst.
Hey, I got to tell you, Tim, as you take a look at it here, it's a pretty straightforward attack now for the Maroons. They're running zone option right off of the right tackle. As you see a missed tackle there by Janis, an all-conference type kid. But they're just coming at you. The Jays better wake up because the Maroons are coming downhill.
Francis Adarkwa last week with a 66-yard run, the longest for for Chicago since 2004. And on first down, the pass is tipped and falling incomplete. There's the old tip drill. Got to find a way to secure the football. But Randy, you're right, could not prevent it from hitting the turf first.
We talked in the open a little bit about Randy. Get a shot at him here, trying to sell it to the umpire. Off to a little bit of a slow start. He does have 14 tackles and a sack, but he's moved to outside linebacker now. It's a little bit of a transition for him.
Ohm rolling left, throwing for the back corner of the end zone, and guess what? His wide receiver didn't go with. Clay Wolf, the intended target, but he was nowhere near the pass from Ohm.
No doubt the Maroon coaching staff has noticed that using Clay Wolf in the slot, the Elmhurst defense is putting a safety over top, and that's Kyle Demas. And if I'm University of Chicago, I'll take that matchup more oftentimes than not.
A new running back for the Maroons. Tommy Parks lined up to the right of Ohm. Parks has missed parts of the last 2 seasons with season-ending injuries, as we have a timeout taken by Chicago. 2:12 left in the first quarter, no score. Chicago and Elmhurst here in quarter number 1. On this Community Day, the home opener for the Blue Jays, who opened the 2010 season with a victory at Loris, scoring a 26-14 win 2 weeks ago, and last week up in Michigan, 37-7 over Olivet. Today is the final non-conference game for the Blue Jays, who have a bye week next week before opening the CCIW schedule on October 2nd at North Park.
Yeah, just getting all over Olivet last week, and it's the thing you look at the most on the stat line from the second non-conference game is the 39 carries for 296 yards. Scotty Williams carrying the load on a lot of that, but able to just sort of control the ball game, and not necessarily able to do that here today against University of Chicago in a stout defensive front.
First time out for Chicago. Adarqua's back into the ball game after the long run. Ohm calling out the play with 4 receivers, 2 to either side. Chicago did make some changes on the offensive line this year. A couple of players have switched positions to try to provide Ohm with some more time. Quick play action pass for Adarqua. Ohm steps up, throws back right corner, too strong, looking for Brizolara.
You know, and again, Tim, I got to think that the Elmhurst defensive staff is a little bit alarmed at the lack of pressure they're able to put on William here. You're talking about an offensive line that you just mentioned. Across left to right, sophomore, and junior. But protecting William very well.
Jeff Sauer's first field goal was blocked. This will be a 33-yard try to give Chicago the lead, and it's blocked again.
How about that?
John Janis, I think, came in and got a piece for the Blue Jays. Janis was there. Also up the middle, Matt Street. 2 solid special teams plays for Elmhurst, denying Chicago opportunities to get on the board, and we remain scoreless with 2:01 to play in the first quarter.
Well, I guess he called that Ben Badoke break, but they've been pushed around like they've been on roller skates for the last couple of defensive drives. Got their backs to the wall and able to make a play.
Francis Adarqua, Tony, with a 57-yard run moments ago. He has 84 yards here in the first quarter.
Former teammate of Joe Furco back at Wheaton Warrenville.
And it is Furco for the Blue Jays
How about
with
that
an empty
shot?
backfield. Trips to the right, tight end to the left. Furco throwing over the middle, and a sliding reception made by Nick Eklund, or Bobby Vavlis, excuse me. Vavlis out of Florida with a reception for the Blue Jays.
Vavlis, another one of those new names. You see a true 5-step drop, and again, trusting that offensive line. But Joe St. Peter and Vavlis are 2 guys that have really stormed onto the scene this year. Picked up the slack for a couple of graduated seniors in the receiving corps.
Gain of 17 on the play, 1st and 10 with less than 2 minutes to play in a scoreless first quarter. Scotty Williams is back in the game, lining up behind Furco, and he'll get the carry. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard on the play. There's been very, very little running room up the middle for Scotty Williams. Clearly, Chicago has made it their game plan to, if they're going to get beat today, be beat by the sophomore quarterback,
No
Joe
doubt
Furco.
about it. Very sound with their responsibilities as far as gap-wise goes for Chicago. But the one thing I'm noticing, it's a single high safety just about every single play for University of Chicago. They're basically challenging the receivers to beat the corners one-on-one.
Down to a minute, a 2nd and 9 for Elmhurst. Furco will roll left. He steps up, throws deep over the middle. Payton is open, reels it into the 25, inside the 10, and a touchdown saving tackle for the Maroons for Josh Valenzuela. Home run for Elmhurst. They've tried it a couple times. This time, however, Rodney Payton and Joe Furco connect.
Little rollout, moving the pocket here. This is another way to sort of change the pass rush lanes for Chicago. Able to cut it back, and again, like we just talked about, one-on-one coverage on the edges. Payton's going to win that every time.
There's another look. Furco again forced to throw across his body. I like that. He's got a little bit of an arm.
Certainly a lot more poise than we saw a year ago at this time.
Ball is inside the 10. Scotty Williams running left with an opening, dancing into the end zone, and the Blue Jays strike first. A 7-yard touchdown run for Scotty Williams as the Blue Jays take a 6-0 lead. It's the 6th touchdown of the year for the sophomore.
How about this young man finding the gap here? Frustrated all day, able to keep at it. They list him at 5'7", which I feel is fairly generous. 165, but the kid runs hard.
How big are the missed field goals from Chicago here in the first quarter? D'Alessandro's point after is through. 7-0 Elmhurst with 22 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And as much as Chicago moved the football, Tony, one big play sets up a touchdown, and the Blue Jays take the lead.
University of Chicago's coaching staff has to be frustrated with the scoreboard at this point. But what they can take away from the first quarter is that they are able to move the ball. They have some things working. Right now, Elmhurst has not shown an ability to stop them on the ground either. A couple of good shots to Community Day here.
There's
Jamal
the
Name.
Elmhurst sideline.
Possibly a touchdown-saving tackle against the Darkwa.
The Blue Jays have a 7-0 lead here in the first quarter after the 7-yard strike from Scotty Williams following a big play from Joe Furco to Rodney Payton, and the ball blows off of the tee. Take a look at the drive summary. 4 plays and 84 yards. Set up by the big 55-yard play from Furco to Payton. As the Blue Jays, just like that, double their total offense in the first quarter. Here's D'Alessandro's kick. End over end to the goal line. 2 yards deep, Brizolara looks for a hole. He'll turn it to the left side along the far sideline. A lot of room. He's got room to the middle, but he steps out of bounds. A flag flies in as the Maroons, potentially with an illegal block, John Dana tangled up with Dan Vicari for the Blue Jays on special teams, and the officials will confer. And doesn't matter anyway because Brizolara stepped out of bounds.
Well, they're going to get over on the far sideline there at the 25. Ryan McGuire had him hemmed in and just got a few hands in the back there.
7-0 Elmhurst. Mike Cunningham, the referee, with the call. It is a hold.
That penalty is declined. Illegal block in the back, number 34 on the offense. 10-yard spot of the foul, first down.
2 fouls on the return for Chicago. So that would explain why Brizolara had such a wide gap to try to find some running room. Last play of the first quarter likely, barring an incomplete pass. 8 seconds to play. Elmhurst 7, Chicago nothing. In a very busy first quarter in this matchup of 2-0 teams. Ohm angling right, throwing. It is caught. Wolf with the reception. Clay Wolf, who last week reeled in 172 yards on 6 catches and was named the UAA Offensive Player of the Week, in addition to being selected to the D3 Team of the Week, was able to make the grab for a pickup of about 18 yards on the play, and the first quarter comes to a close. Elmhurst 7, Chicago nothing here at Langhorst Field in quarter number 1. Let's take a look back at the Elmhurst pass from Furco to Payton to set up the score.
Yeah, one of the things that Furco has this year at his disposal is Aaron Fanthorpe, is his quarterbacks coach this year, two-time player of the year in this conference.
He knows
North
a thing or
Central
two about
graduate.
CCIW
Sure,
football.
Absolutely. What a great mentor to have along with Coach Lester. So the growth and the maturation of Joe Furco continues.
Say hello to some of our crew as the Blue Jays making some adjustments here prior to the start of the second quarter. Elmhurst 7, Chicago nothing. Both teams are 2-0. We told you about BluejayTV.com, where we will have live streaming of all of the Elmhurst College home games this year for video. The road games will have audio included. We'll expand with some volleyball and soccer thrown in as well. You can also now follow the Blue Jays on Facebook and Twitter. Yes, they do have a home on Facebook and Twitter. The Blue Jays are now tweeting. Does a Blue Jay tweet? Well, they do now.
Do you have a Twitter account, Tim?
I do, actually. I don't often use it.
Okay.
As much as I would use the Facebook side
Sure,
of things.
I'm with you.
Adarkwa on the carry. Still alive. Crossing the 30-yard line, gaining about 3 yards on the play. Adarkwa with 84 yards in the first quarter. So we look at some of the first quarter numbers on the replay.
Again, just a zone play. And the defensive line doesn't look like they set their alarm clocks this morning. They're getting pushed around and moved pretty handily by this young Chicago offensive line.
First quarter, Chicago with 133 yards of offense, 94 on the ground, 39 in the air. The Blue Jays with 160, but only 18 of those on the ground, and that counts the 7-yard touchdown. 142 through the air in the first quarter for Joe Furco, who is 8 of 11. A false start for Chicago will back them up 5 yards, set up a 2nd and 12. Furco's 8 of 11 on the flip side. Marshall Ohm is only 3 of 11 for Chicago. Scotty Williams with 18 yards for the Blue Jays. Rodney Payton, the leading receiver for Elmhurst, 3 grabs, 87 yards. Corey Tahn with 24 yards receiving on 3 catches as well. 2nd and 12, a delay straight up the middle to Adarkwa, shuffling right, spinning, and brought down as he reaches the 33-yard line. Randy Wright in on the stop for Elmhurst.
You know, in a lot of ways, Adarkwa was very similar to Scotty Williams. Shifty, lower center of gravity. Runs out of the single back formation, able to use his vision here. Maybe a little bit more power than what Scotty Williams brings to the table, but heck of a player for the Maroons.
Gain of 6 puts the Maroons in a 3rd and manageable, 3rd and 6. Just underway, quarter number 2, Elmhurst 7, Chicago nothing. Ohm will roll left. He throws across his body, and it is complete as the catch is made by Keegan Cisneros. Cisneros with his first reception of the day for Chicago.
Just a 2-man combo route here, Tim. Moving the pocket, protecting pressure.
Some life on that throw, too.
Able to win the one-on-one battle out there.
So the Maroons convert on 3rd down. They'll have a 1st and 10 from their own 40. Ohm looking for the home run ball, too long, targeting Brizolara on the far side of the field. With him step per step in coverage, Dane Paul.
Jays are playing with fire here a little bit. Much like the Maroons, they're bringing some pressure to try to generate some sort of disruption in the Maroon backfield. Caught in one-on-one coverage there, and anytime you take a shot downfield, it's a one-on-one opportunity.
13:06 to play first half. 7-0 Elmhurst with the lead. The Blue Jays converted on their big play on offense. Chicago could not convert on a big play. In fact, twice they've had field goals blocked today. Here's Adarkwa trying the left side. Not a whole lot there. Randy Wright will muscle him out of bounds. Good job by Ryan McGuire of forcing Adarkwa to the outside, enabling Wright to come over and help.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you draw it up here in the zone play, the one thing you can't practice is the ability of number 6. Now, I don't know if there's many guys in this conference or in general at the Division III level that can move like this guy side to side. He's a disruptive force, and he's still figuring out the outside linebacker position.
3rd and 10. Passing situation for Chicago. 3 wide to the right, 1 to the near. Ohm, pump fake, throws over the middle, out of the reach of Cisneros, who had the big 3rd down reception moments ago. could not connect with Ohm here on 3rd and 10, and the Maroons will kick it away.
How about the job of Ohm to give himself a little bit of time here? Brandon Jones, the all-conference linebacker, coming off the edge, and he just misses him there.
First punt was 39 yards for Chicago.
A lot of creative pressure packages on 3rd down, cooked up by defensive coordinator Joe Adam. That time bringing Wright inside and Jones outside.
Jeff Sauer with a nice kick. Ton standing at his 15, lets it roll past him, and it skips all the way along the near sideline, bouncing out of bounds at the 12, where the Blue Jays take over, leading 7-0.
Well, the defense has held serve. You knew it was going to be the strength going into this year. They needed to lean on Jones and Wright and Demas and Paul and all those seniors on defense. With all the youth on offense, want to keep the score down, keep it manageable for Joe Furco, and so far Joe's been able to make some plays. Defense has held up.
Joe Furco fastening the chin strap, giving to Williams, and Williams will pick up a yard before he is poked out of bounds.
Something certainly of note this year as you see the off-tackle zone play for Williams, finding the edge. Something of note is that Williams is really carrying more of a load than he did last year. He was terrific last year as an all-conference mention. Jimmy Jenkins, a guy who's not with the program anymore, carried the load and shared a little bit, as well as Nick Herrera, neither of which are on the roster this year. So Williams is having to tote it maybe a little bit more than what the coaching staff may like.
2nd and 9. Passing play. Rodney Payton with a grab. First down distance across the 25-yard line. Francis Shelley on the stop for Chicago.
True 5-step, and this is what speed will do for you, Tim. The threat of the downfield, the vertical passing game, creates that cushion on the corners. If Rodney can continue to blow off the top of the defense, he'll get space underneath, just like you saw there.
11:23 first half. Elmhurst 7, Chicago nothing, and the home opener for the Blue Jays on this community day here at Langhorst Field. Here's Scotty Williams working ahead for 5 yards across the 30-yard line, met by Polineski defensively.
Polineski a little bit undersized, but he'll get after you now. Gritty guy in the middle of this Chicago defense. That defensive line really is the anchor of the Maroons defensively, but this linebacking core is pretty active.
Talk about what we have coming up for you at the half in a few moments. 2nd and 5 for Elmhurst. Sean Soroka in motion as Furco fires, and it's picked off. First interception of the year. Polineski with the steal at the 38-yard line, all the way down near the 10. The first mistake of the season for the sophomore quarterback, and I don't know that he ever took his eyes off his intended target.
Tim telegraphed it the whole way. You got it there. We just highlighted Polineski, and there he is stepping in front of Payton. Went to the well one too many times there.
The junior linebacker with the interception, and it's the first turnover of the game from either side. Chicago will look to take advantage and potentially tie the game. 7-0 Elmhurst, but the Maroons with the ball spotted at the Elmhurst 12-yard line.
Yeah, and you strike while the iron's hot if you're the Chicago offense here.
Movement on the line of scrimmage as Randy Wright came in defensively for Elmhurst. Did he cross the line first? It will be against Randy Wright and mark off 5 yards. As if Chicago needed less ground to cover. Now they will mark it ahead to the 8-yard line. 1st and 5.
Well, you're looking for a play out of one of your defensive playmakers here, Wright or Jones off the edge, force a play. See what we have here.
The officials, I think, are trying to make sure that they have the line of scrimmage right. Yeah, the first down marker looks an awful lot closer to where it should be. Now they'll back it up to the 8-yard line. There we go. Coming up at halftime, it is tradition for the Blue Jay backers to hand out their annual Community Service Award. And this year it'll be Daryl Whistler who will be honored. We'll have that ceremony for you here from Langhorst Field. 7-0 Elmhurst. Adarkwa up the middle, still working his way towards the first down marker. He will cross the first down line to the 2, and Chicago will have first and goal looking to tie the game.
I'll tell you, this Darko kid will grind you now. Watch his legs churning through, runs through contact, not able to get him down very easily are the Jays, and they're going to keep going to it now.
Darko with 4 touchdowns last week in Chicago's big win over Concordia University Chicago. The 4 touchdowns matching a school record. Power I. It is Darko leaping over the Blue Jays defense and into the end zone as Chicago converts on the Elmhurst turnover for 6 points.
Struggling up front to find an answer for the running game of the Chicago Maroons. It's coming into the game, you see all the high scores and you see the stats put up by Wolf, and you wonder how you're going to stop these guys throwing the football, and here comes Darko.
Sauer with the extra point attempt through. And Chicago has tied the score, 7-all with 10:04 to play in the first half. Here again is that power I formation. Didn't even need to go over the top. He had the blockers in front of him, but he did anyway just for good measure. There's a good view from up top.
Boy, that's just body on body. Down kick, and Darko finds the seam.
Just the 3rd turnover of the season for Elmhurst, but it turns into 7 for Chicago, and how quickly things can change on one little mistake. The first interception of the season for Joe Furco turns into 7 for Chicago.
It's a Chicago offense that has shown an ability to move the ball at will against the Jays today, and giving them the short field was all they needed to even the score.
Jeff Sauer's kick, a low liner, taken by Corey Ton at the 5. Ton straight ahead, following a wall, he gets through, opening along the far sideline. Ton still moving, flag flies in at the 40. Ton's going to go all the way into the end zone, but it's coming back as there's a piece of laundry down on the field at the 45-yard line.
Boy, hard to tell where it came in. I was taking a look at Ryan Johnson, number 9, the safety, giving him an escort down the left sideline there. Heck of a play, great vision by Ton.
There you get a look at the sophomore out of Wheaton North High School, Corey Ton.
Explosive slot player as well. They love to get the ball in his hands early.
Here's a replay.
How about Rodney Payton getting out in front as well? Boy, you can't quite see it there.
Must have been in the middle of the field because that's a touchdown. Oh, and there was an unsportsmanlike on the end for the flip. I didn't see that flag come in until we just saw the replay.
Yep.
As Ton flipped into the end zone. So Tim Lester receiving the explanation from our referee today, Mike Cunningham. They might be able to include both of these penalties because that's a dead ball foul.
Well, you knock off the 10 yards.
Number 9 on the return team. That'll be 10 yards from the previous spot. Then we have a dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yep.
Foul on the offense. We also will enforce that. It'll be first down.
Both penalties are enforced. The guilty party was Ryan Johnson, who you mentioned stepping in as one of the lead blockers to provide the opening for Corey Ton. He played at Wheaton North High School and was on the opposite side of Joe Furco at Wheaton Warrenville South. And now here they are, teammates at Elmhurst.
Of course, Tim Lester of Wheaton Warrenville South fame.
And so they will mark it from midfield all the way back to the 29. Costly, costly penalties as both are enforced. Motion for Soroka. Williams with the carry up the middle, crossing the 40. He has a first down, falling ahead towards the 45-yard line. Stopped on the play by Josh Barant, a freshman for Chicago.
Well, using motion here with Soroka now working in for Ryan Bach. Great vision by Scotty to find the seam and hit it, but using motion to shift the strength of the offense, able to get the numbers on the edge.
First and 10 for Elmhurst in a 7-7 game. Under 10 minutes to play in the first. Furco checking off at the line of scrimmage. He'll hand it to Williams, straight ahead again, onto the Chicago half. 14 yards for a first down. Huge hole. Big difference from the offensive line earlier to where we are now. Obviously, they've made some adjustments on the sideline.
Made some adjustments. You got Brett Virgil, Chris Kirkpatrick, and Peter Stamos. You'll see here, as you see Virgil able to get up on the linebackers, and the commitment to the running game is paying off. They're wearing down that defensive line.
Tied at 7. First and 10 from the Chicago 42. Soroka in motion once more to the near side. Furco looking left sideline. Flag is thrown as it is off the fingertips of Peyton. It may be offensive pass interference. Peyton with a little bit of shove to try to gain some separation.
To be fair to Rodney now, as I'm watching this play kind of develop, the cornerback sort of tripped up and lost his balance. Rodney used his hands to sort of gain his balance on the back of the defender. We'll see if we do get a look at it here. Certainly looks worse than it actually was.
Pass interference. Number 4 on the offense. Still first down.
And so it is offensive pass interference backing up the Blue Jays. And Tony, penalties here on this drive.
Putting themselves in a hole early on, and it was an issue last year for the Jays as well. They led the conference in penalties. And anytime you have a young offense, last year we're talking Scotty Williams as a freshman, Joe Furco as a freshman. A lot of these offensive linemen, still cutting their teeth in college football. So, you're at a disadvantage early on 1st and 20.
6th penalty of the game for the Blue Jays, totaling 58 yards here in the first half, and there's still 8:50 to go before the stoppage, and we have another flag.
Ball foul. Snapping infraction. Center. Still first down.
A snapping infraction on the center.
Typically they'll get him, and that time it was Kirkpatrick. Typically they'll get him on a hitch. Anything with the ball, any movement with the ball. With 7 officials out there, one set of eyes are gonna catch it.
See if he can pick it up. He did. He kind of twice snapped it, basically. Started his motion and then stopped it again. Soroka in motion, handoff to Williams, trying to get some of the penalty yardage back. He'll pick up about 6 out to the 45-yard line. Jared White on the back of Williams.
See if we get a look at this. Check out Williams and Zerbicki. Has him dead to rights. Whoop!
How did that go?
Whoop! Little shift to the right and able to gain some positive yardage.
2nd and 23. Double tight ends for the Blue Jays. Furco throwing over the middle, wide open, and what a catch. Reception from Bobby Vavlis, his 2nd grab of the ball game. First down yardage, a gain of 25 to the 30-yard line.
Young man out of Tarpon Springs, Florida, and one of many Florida recruits on this roster. You see him cutting down the seam, and University of Chicago is really committing to a man-to-man and cover 3 right now at this point. And Furco is able to find some of the seams, and Vavlis is fired up.
It is indeed a first down. Bobby Vavlis with his 10th reception of the season, the most catches on this Elmhurst squad. 1st and 10 from the 30. Here's Williams to the right side with an opening, meeting the defender head on and pounding his way inside the 25-yard line down to the 24, stopped on the play by Polineski.
Staple of this offense is the zone blocking scheme. There you see Williams pressing the line of scrimmage. He has an option to go ahead and press it, cut it back, or cut it outside. Got the edge sealed, made a good read.
Tied at 7, a gain of 6 for Williams, whose yardage total has begun to increase here in the second quarter. He's up to 60 yards in the ball game on 14 carries. Soroka in motion, play action. Furco targeting Peyton, who goes up and makes the catch in the corner for a touchdown, but there is a flag in the area. Might it be offensive for the second time or no? There was a lot of contact in that corner. The Blue Jays are celebrating. Rodney Payton falling away, able to make the catch on a great throw from Furco. It is a defensive foul, and it's declined.
Well, Salimos is going to argue it, but there was some hand fighting all the way down. To me, it's a clean play either way. Good play action, frees the linebackers. Furco able to get it out quick. Great adjustment to the football by Payton.
I don't even know if there was defensive there, to be honest with you. Didn't look like a whole lot of contact. It's a great spot for Payton, who lets our cameraman know how happy he was with the touchdown grab.
A little bit of a coming out party for him.
With 6:54 to play in the first half, the extra point from D'Alessandro is up and good. 14-7, Elmhurst with a lead, 6:54 to play first half.
Able to find a little bit of a groove on that drive there, mixing in the run and the pass, and right now they got it going.
71-yard drive for the Blue Jays, covering 6 plays and overcoming 4 penalties. An offensive pass interference, a false start, a holding, and an unsportsmanlike conduct. So really, if you think about how far they had to go back to it, they had a touchdown taken off the board on the return from Corey Tahn, and Rodney Payton celebrating with his teammates as the Blue Jays take the lead. Payton with his first touchdown grab today and his second of the season. He is having a big game, Tony, as you mentioned, 124 yards with that touchdown score.
And he's a kid that transferred in last year, and they weren't quite sure what to do with him. He's a great athlete. They use him a little bit in the slot. But he's really blossomed now into what they consider to be their go-to receiver. And if he continues to play like this, look out, CCIW.
Kick into the breeze, angling right for Brizolara, who's got a whole lot of room to run. Brizolara backpedaling, turning to his right at the 25, looking for the outside corner, leapfrogging a tackler, and he only gained maybe an extra 2 yards, despite covering about 50 yards in all of his turns. Chicago sets up, trailing 14-7 from the 27-yard line.
It's Rich Dastis upending him, keeping great contain there. And one thing of note on the kickoff coverage team is you'll find number 6, Randy Wright. As you see the cut back here, and I'm going the other way if I see number 6 as well.
You know this from experience?
Long retired.
Hand off to Adarkwa. Penalty flag flies in. Our real question is, do you think our director, Dennis Bergen, would be going the other way if he saw Randy Wright, the former Wheaton College fullback, as he was telling us before the ball game today?
That's a terrific question. You know, I would think that those Wheaton guys would like the challenge. They could take him on there. But Randy, as we touched on in the pregame,
disregard the penalty.
Yeah. Randy actually had a junior workout this year, which is quite an event here on the campus that both the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings came to work him out.
I fly the friendly skies here at Langhorst Field. 2nd and 9, a gain of 1 on the play, down to 6:25 in the first half. Blue Jays leading 14-7. Ohm. Quick pass complete to Brizolara. Flag flies in again as Brizolara is out to the 35-yard line. He'll be short of the first down marker. Pete Alfano on the stop. John Janis with some help as well.
Umpire's certainly going to work out today. Another flag on the field.
It is a hold against Chicago.
You know, to continue with Randy, one of the things that the coaching staff was concerned with was how often teams were attacking them into the boundary, into the short side of the field. And by moving Randy over into the boundary, it makes teams think twice now about heading to that side. So sort of balances the defense a lot, and they really have a lot of faith in Wayne Tuxson, their new middle linebacker.
He's Tony Menestra, and I'm Tim Calderwood with you on this Saturday as the Blue Jays and University of Chicago tangling. Elmhurst spending a timeout with 6:12 to go in the first half. We'll give you a quick game recap to this point. Elmhurst scoring first late in the first quarter, capping an 84-yard drive as Scotty Williams scurried in from 7 yards away. Chicago answered, tying the score, converting on a turnover by the Blue Jays, the first interception of the season from Joe Furco, resulting in a 2-yard strike from the running back today for Chicago, Francis Adarkwa, over the top for the score to tie the ball game. And moments ago, Rodney Payton finishing a 71-yard drive for the Blue Jays to put Elmhurst on top 14-7, and that is where we stand with 6:12 to play in the first. And it is windy. The wind has picked up today.
A little bit overcast. Got the barbecue grills going.
I can smell them. They're tempting me. It's not fair. There's one thing that tempts me every time. It's the scent of a fired-up grill. I want some burgers.
Right below us, a couple floors down.
2nd and 17 after the penalty, which was a hold assessed to the Maroons. Adarkwa stands to the right of Ohm, who drops back. Steps up, overshoots his target well over the head of Brizolara, incomplete near the first down marker.
Well, the continued failure of the defensive line to generate any sort of pressure on Ohm is going to be an issue moving forward. As you see him work in a new package here, this is something they like to do on 3rd and long to bring pressure, but if you can only generate pressure with Randy Wright and Jones off the edge, you're definitely sacrificing some coverage, and they're going to have to get it fixed.
3rd and 17. Pressure from Randy Wright, who hits the quarterback Ohm as his pass was released, intended for Cisneros. That was a, oh my goodness, I feel that Randy Wright coming. Please let me get rid of the football. And it falls incomplete. 4th down. Chicago will have to punt it away, but there is an injured Maroon right inside the left hatch. The Chicago training staff will come out to tend to an offensive lineman, I believe.
Guessing it's John Tabish, maybe, the left tackle.
Tabish, who was one of the changes on that offensive line for Chicago, pops to his feet. He's all right.
Pretty big boy, listed at 6'3", 275. And so far, so good for that Maroon offensive line. It's a pressure defense that Blue Jays like to bring to the table, and they've done a nice job protecting Ohm, that play notwithstanding.
Tabish, a right tackle last year, moved to the left side here in 2010. Time to punt. Jeff Sauer for Chicago has averaged 43.5 yards per kick so far. Corey Ton scoops it up at the 45, and Elmhurst will start in Chicago territory as he crosses midfield and falls to the 46.
Boy, he's slippery, too. He hits a crease, and he's a pretty slight fella. He's built pretty well, but as you see the punt here, you're going to never look at it. Much like in the slot, he's very crafty in space. Good vision. Has some similar traits to him as what Matt D'Angelo did a couple of years ago, our most recent academic All-American.
Boy, Elmhurst would love an opportunity to take a 2-score lead into the locker room, up 14-7 with the ball on the Chicago half to open the drive. Pressure from Furco, pushed out of the pocket, rolling right, throwing incomplete. All kinds of heat coming from behind. On top of him was Matt Sargent, who, as Tony alluded to, in the season-opening win over Beloit, recorded 6.5 tackles for loss, including 3 sacks, just by himself in the win at the end of the ball game for Chicago.
Certainly is an imposing figure, 6'3", 247, and he uses all of that 247. He's built well, coming off the edge, and they're moving him around a little bit. You'll see him on the left, you see him on the right.
He's out of Sterling Heights, Michigan, and it is a 2nd and 10 for the Blue Jays. Furco with heat coming again. Dumps it off for Williams. Huge hole up the middle. Williams along the near sideline, inside the 20, pushed out at the 12-yard line. Scotty Williams on the shovel pass, knocked out by Francis Chelly, who may have saved the Blue Jays from taking that 2-score lead.
You're struggling with pressure. Go ahead and run the screen pass. Invite the pressure in. Slip Williams out. And look at the great job he does holding the ball up high. Great in the open field. And Jay's got it rolling again.
Gain of 33 on the play. Scotty Williams with his first grab of the day. And it'll set up a first down for the Blue Jays from the Chicago 12. In motion comes time. Play action pass. Furco steps up, throws to Soroka into the end zone for the touchdown. Play action pass. Soroka over the middle, reels in the touchdown reception, and the Blue Jays take a 20-7 lead.
Well, you get Scotty Williams cooking on the ground game. You see a little boot action here as Virgil comes out. You get the ground game cooking. Now Soroka slips through. The linebackers are thinking Scotty Williams. I got to stop number 20. Old number 25, Soroka, is able to slip through.
Second touchdown pass of the day for Joe Furco. D'Alessandro's extra point attempt. It is a low, but it's through the Chicago defense and through the uprights as well. 21-7, Elmhurst on top. 5:14 to play first half. Elmhurst taking advantage of solid field position. 3 plays and 46 yards, resulting in a couple of big plays. The screen pass to Scotty Williams and the touchdown to Soroka. The numbers have definitely started to slant towards the Blue Jays here in this second quarter. Elmhurst already with 316 yards of offense.
Well, you rewind to last year over at Stagg Field in Chicago. It was a 31-6 victory over the Maroons, but it was 481 yards by Elmhurst's offense that got it going. 238 on the ground. Looks like they're using a similar blueprint here today. Blue Jays jumped out early to 17-0 and were on cruise control the rest of the way. They've had to fight a little bit more here today with a game Chicago team. But don't expect Chicago to lay down. They have some fight in them, and they're able to score some points quickly.
Talking about that offense, last week in a 37-7 win, 421 yards of offense in a ball game. Today, 316 in the first half with still 5 minutes and change remaining. A very short kick, bouncing at the 15, skipping to the right of D. Brizolara, who picks it up at the 10, and he will return it across the 20 out to the 27-yard line, where Chicago takes over, down 21-7 with 5:09 to play in the first half.
Boy.
Skipped away from Brizolara.
Playing with fire there, letting the ball jiggle around on the grass there, or the fake grass, I could say. It's a live ball, of course, on a kickoff.
Rich Dastis with the stop, the senior out of Berwyn.
I got to look for the matchup here in the slot with Clay Wolf and see what the Jays are going to do in the middle of the field to deal with him. Right now it's Demas over him, and they've moved Jones out as well.
Boy, Ohm has had a tough first half, just 5 of 17 to this point, and he will keep himself.
Oof.
And he'll cross the 30-yard line on a gain of about 3. Probably a design delay just to see if there's anything open quickly, and when there wasn't, Ohm kept it himself. His second carry of the ball game, gains about 3.
Well, they list Ohm at 6 foot 201, but when he's standing next to Francis Adarkwa, who's 5'10", 190, Adarkwa looks a little taller than him, so.
Chicago trying to hurry up here. Jerry Beach climbed over the top of the quarterback, Ohm, to record the tackle. It is a 2nd and 7. Ohm gives it to Adarkwa, straight ahead, muscling for about 4 yards, shy of the 45-yard line. It'll set up a 3rd and 3 for Chicago.
Well, at this point in the ball game, Tim, this is a huge play for both sides. If you stop them here defensively, I think you call a timeout and you give Furco some time to generate another drive. If Chicago can keep the ball ticking down the field here, they have a chance, but big 3rd down here.
3rd and 3, 3:59 to play first half. Ohm looks right, targets his receiver. It's Brizolara with a reception, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Jamal Lane with the tackle for the Blue Jays and a big 3rd down conversion.
Jamal Lane, a 10-game starter last year as a true freshman. Coming into this year, a lot of expected of him to shut down number 1 receivers as they play him, and he's got to be smarter than that. It's 3rd down and 4, 3rd down and 3. Understand the down and distance. That's pitch and catch.
Chicago with their 3rd down conversion today. The Maroons are 3 of 8 on 3rd down. It's a 1st and 10. The Blue Jays show blitz. Adarkwa with the carry, working his way to the left, and he's upended after only a couple. There has not been a whole lot there for Adarkwa since his big 55-yard run late in the first quarter. He is over 100 yards rushing in the ball game, 106 yards and a touchdown for Adarkwa.
Well, they've been going with the zone belly all day, and this time they bring it back. They pull the right guard back around. Showing a little bit something different, something else for the defensive staff to worry about at halftime.
Coming up on 3 minutes to play in the half. There's a shovel pass for Adarkwa, and he will gain about 4 yards. Chicago's taking the short underneath stuff here, trying to pick up 4 or 5 yards here or there as Ryan McGuire brings down Adarkwa across the 45 of the 46. Why not take a shot downfield at some point, but you got to convert here on third down first.
No doubt. Well, a lot of times scheme will dictate things, but I agree with you. You have to force the issue a little bit. They've gotten some one-on-one opportunities, and Ohms missed them.
4 or 5 yards here and there will be good when you have a little time to work with, but right now you're down to 2.5 minutes, and you've still got to cover 54 yards to be able to score a touchdown.
Sure.
And your field goal game has not exactly been great today either, as there have been a pair of blocks. There's a
great
screen,
recognition.
Popped. Oh, my goodness. The catch was made by Nathan Lowe, the freshman out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he was pounded behind the line of scrimmage. The Blue Jays were not fooled on the wide receiver screen.
We just talked about Jamal Lane understanding down and distance. How about this play? They try to leak out the left tackle. That's David Amaro, the backup to John Tavish, who went out last drive. Jamal Lane fired up about it, recognized the screen, got after it. Great play.
Well, and you talked about the big play earlier on this drive that Chicago was able to convert on. Elmhurst will burn their second time out here. They're going to have 2 minutes to work with, and this has been a quick strike offense so far today. The scoring drives for Elmhurst, 1 minute and 39 seconds, 3 minutes and 9 seconds, and 41 seconds. So they have been able to move the ball down the field very rapidly today, and they will have the opportunity here to get it back with less than 2 minutes remaining in the half to try to potentially go up by 3 scores into the locker room.
And here's what I'm looking at on this drive. When the threat of Scotty Williams is there running the football, it can slow down a pass rush. But now when you know that Furco has to take it back 5 steps, 7 steps, and sling it down the field, we'll see if this offensive line can hold up.
John Janis back to receive for the Blue Jays, standing at the 15-yard line. 41 yards per punt so far today for Jeff Sauer. On 4th and 6, he sends a short squibbler bouncing at the 20, picked up by Janis at the 15. He will reverse direction to his right, and we've got a whistle to blow the play dead. Janis never went to a knee, did he?
No.
He called for a fair catch. That was the problem. Janis is like, wait a minute, I didn't do that, did I?
Well, they'll get him on the fair catch. Now, Janis is a fearless guy. He's an all-conference guy as a freshman.
Yeah, you can't. Well, here's the replay. There's the fair catch signal. But when it bounces, then he tries to pick it. That's going to be a penalty on the Blue Jays for trying to return it from there, and it is.
Well, hoping for some better field position than what they're going to start with. They'll have a shade under 2 minutes.
1:51 to be exact, Tony. It's the officiating crew talking it over. Elmhurst 21, Chicago 7. First half winding down.
Delay a game, running after a fair catch signal on the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It is only a 5-yard penalty, a delay of game against Elmhurst on Janis, who I think signaled for the fair catch initially and then didn't realize that it was going to bounce right back to him and give him an opportunity to return. But it is backed up to the 13-yard line, and the Blue Jays will have to cover 87 yards here in 1:51 to score a touchdown heading into the locker room. And field goal problems for both teams as J.R. Delicandro did not convert on a field goal try in the first quarter either.
Well, if you're thinking field goal this drive, J.R. Delicandro, a first-year starter. He is a senior. He has hit a 36-yarder in the Olivet game. But, Tim, as you've mentioned, he's had some issues today.
Furco hands it off to Williams, who is met shy of the 15-yard line.
And I'm all right with this. You know, your defense has been playing fairly well. You gave him a short field for the first score.
There was a good opening there, too.
Sure. Play it conservative. Force Chicago
Furco over the middle, complete to Soroka, who caught a touchdown earlier today, but there was a flag as the play developed. The Blue Jays have been flagged today a ton. They've already been hit with 8 penalties, and this could be the 9th against Elmhurst, although they are signaling against Chicago, it looks like.
Well, you had a player top
Holding
off Soroka.
on the defense number 10.
Oh.
Resulted in a play, first down.
Defensive holding, resulting in a first down for the Blue Jays.
Well, now the whole recipe changes here for the offense. You forced Chicago to go into a third down, see if they're going to call a timeout, but now you have an automatic first down. Time to put the pedal down here.
1:22 in the first half. Elmhurst 21, Chicago 7.
Hey, with those 8 penalties, Tim, put that along with their 15 in the previous 2 games for 110 yards coming into today.
Clock is rolling. Furco is throwing. Too strong, over the middle, intended for Ton. It's intercepted. Picked off at the 45-yard line by Josh Barant, who takes it down to the 44. And Barant now will give Chicago an opportunity. There's the flip side of that argument of trying to make some plays downfield late in the half. A mistake can potentially counter and give your opponent an opportunity to gain some serious momentum heading in as well.
That one's on Furco. You know, he had great protection up front. Chicago ran a little stunt game up front. Offensive line did a great job picking it up. Furco not able to put it on him, and he's checking out Ton the whole time.
Again, coming up at the half, we'll send it down to the field for a presentation on this community day. Chicago takes over. They converted on the first interception of the day. This one's tipped and incomplete as the Blue Jays nearly counter almost immediately. Kyle Demas, the safety back, could not control the tipped pass. And it is second down. Keegan Cisneros, the intended target.
Demas is one of those guys as a coach you can really count on to kind of be where he needs to be. Great leader on the field. You know, athletically, he may be giving up some speed to some of the guys across from him, but you can count on him to kind of get the guys in the right position and be where he needs to be.
1:03 to play, 2nd and 10. Off the right side, it's a Darkwood, nothing there. He is met immediately and dropped. First on the scene, Brandon Jones, the senior out of Bloomingdale, Illinois, stopping a Darkwood. The clock is running. Chicago does have 2 timeouts remaining, but it doesn't look like they're in a hurry to take one here, down to 44 seconds.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you. On the positive side, the plus side of the 50-yard line.
They've got a new quarterback in, Kevin Shelton, the sophomore out of Hickory, North Carolina. He may take a shot downfield. That might be what this is for. He steps up, he throws over the middle, and it's into nobody. Looking for Clay Wolf, but there were 3 Blue Jays defensively. And the pass attempt from Kevin Shelton falls incomplete. Shelton attempting just his 3rd pass of the season, and with 26 seconds to go, the Maroons will bring on the punt unit, and Shelton is shaken up as he walks slowly off the field.
How about Pete Alfano and Jerry Beach meeting at the quarterback? Jerry Beach is a guy that we touched on a little bit earlier. This is not a guy I want to meet in a dark alley. He's put together pretty well, and he's coming off the edge.
Sauer punting for the 5th time today. He's averaging over 40 yards per kick, and this one is targeted towards the left corner and bouncing inside the 10 and out of bounds. Good punt by Sauer. They'll spot it at the 9. The Blue Jays have it 1st and 10, and I imagine we'll probably see the end of the first half here. With only 1 timeout, I doubt that Elmhurst will take a shot down the field, though you never know, I suppose. 21-7, Elmhurst with the advantage. Again, in mere moments, we will have the Blue Jay Backers Community Service Award presentation on this community day here at Langhorse Field, the home opener for Elmhurst. Well, maybe they will take a shot. Scotty Williams is behind Joe Furco. They do have receivers out. Furco will hand it off to Williams. Up the middle, cutting to his right. Plenty of room to run. Still on his feet. He has a first down across the 20. Out to the 23-yard line. Wolfgang Connell with a stop.
And you see Coach Lester indicating he wants a timeout.
Why not now? You gained some real estate there for you. Less than 12 seconds to play. 21-7, Elmhurst with the lead.
Great job by Pete Stamos. Anytime you're running zone play, your backside has to cut the defensive tackle, and he did a great job there. I think you just go at it with Rodney Payton here. You find a way to get it into Payton's hands and put it up there.
5 catches, 124 yards today for Rodney Payton as you get a good look at the Blue Jays congregating on the sideline during this timeout.
No timeouts left for the Jays, so if the ball's anywhere in between the hashes or inside the numbers, Chicago will probably be willing to let that happen, but you got to protect the sidelines. If you're the Maroons, you definitely don't want to commit a defensive pass interference.
Furco is under center, and he will give to Williams once more. Trying the right side, he'll get across the 30, gaining 8 yards out to the 32. And the clock will head down to zeros. We have reached the half. A very good first half for Elmhurst. More specifically, Tony, a very solid second quarter for the Blue Jays, who have a 21-7 lead as we break.
No doubt about it. A little bit shaky in the early going, but they got the ship righted, and Scotty Williams has really gotten it going, and the offensive line has started to really protect Furco as well.
We are at the half. The Blue Jays scoring 3 first-half touchdowns, including 2 here in the second quarter. Big plays, quick scoring. 84-yard drive late in the first quarter. Scotty Williams scores a 7-yard touchdown. Francis Adarqua converting on a interception for Chicago, capping a 13-yard drive with a 2-yard score to tie it early in the second. And Elmhurst with 2 scores in under 2 minutes late in the second quarter. Rodney Payton, a 24-yard pass from Joe Furco, and Sean Soroka moments later with a 13-yard snare as the Blue Jays hold a 21-7 lead here at the half. Well, at halftime of Community Day today, it is tradition for the Blue Jay backers to hand out their annual Community Service Award. The award is presented annually to a local citizen for his or her contributions to civic life. The Blue Jay Backer Community Service Award this year will be handed to Daryl Whistler by Elmhurst College Athletic Director and Executive Director of the Blue Jay Backers, Paul Crone, here at halftime on Community Day, as you see them making their way out towards midfield. And with that, we'll turn it over to the public address system. 21-7, Elmhurst leads at the half. This is Blue Jay football. Daryl Whistler, the Vice President at Community Bank of Elmhurst and the Director of Marketing at Lexington Square Life Care Retirement Communities of Elmhurst and Lombard. He's played an active role in the Elmhurst community, serving on over a dozen committees for the city of Elmhurst, currently chairing the Zoning and Planning Commission, a group he's been a member of since 1969. He also serves on the Board of Trustees with the Elmhurst Memorial Healthcare and Elmhurst Memorial Hospital and has been a member of more than 20 committees with Elmhurst Memorial Healthcare. Daryl Whistler, the recipient of the Blue Jay Backer Community Service Award, has served on various committees here at Elmhurst College, currently sitting on the executive committee of the Blue Jay Backers. In addition, he's a board member of the Elmhurst Symphony Association and the Elmhurst Economic Development Corporation, having received numerous accolades for his service efforts, including the Elmhurst Memorial Healthcare Trustee Leadership Award, the Kiwanis International Distinguished Member of Kiwanis Award in 2005, the West Suburban Philanthropic Network Nonprofit Volunteer of the Year Award in 2003, and the Elmhurst JC's Distinguished Service Award in 1996. It is Daryl Whistler down on the field, joined by Paul Crone.
On behalf of Elmhurst College, I'm delighted to offer my congratulations to a great friend of the college, Daryl Whistler, who has been my pleasure to know for 2 years and whose reputation in the community is known to all and has been for many, many years. Daryl, congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ray. And also thank you, Paul. And thank all the Blue Jay backers for this great award. But there's another group of people that I really want to thank the most, and that's all of you people up in the stands. It's really great to see all of you, and on behalf of the Blue Jay backers, we want you to really be with us the entire year and all of the sports here at Elmhurst College. So the last thing I would say is go Blue Jays. Thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you, girl.
The Blue Jay backers handing out their Community Service Award here at halftime at Langhorst Field. On Community Day, Elmhurst with a 21-7 lead over the University of Chicago. Back with half number 2 very shortly.
This is a tree that was never chopped down to make a crutch that was never needed by a child who never got polio because a vaccine was never in short supply. Thanks to people whose compassion wasn't either. You can help Rotary end polio now. Learn how you can help at rotary.org/endpolio.
21-7, Elmhurst leading the University of Chicago at halftime on Community Day. It's the home opener for the Blue Jays here in 2010. Both teams coming into the contest sitting at 2-0. I'm Tim Calderwood, Tony Minestra alongside Tony. It was a very, very busy first half. Let's get a look at some of the highlights from our first 30 minutes of play.
Yeah, here you see Joe Furco, one of his many pass attempts. This time Peyton hauling it in with one hand. Furco went for 256. This time Furco goes to Ryan Bach on the bootleg. Another big thing in this first half is Francis Adarkwa. He cuts loose here. Big play. Jamal Lane has to track him down, but this set up a scoring opportunity for the Maroons. Another look at Joe Furco, this time rolling away and coming back, slinging it back to Rodney Payton, who makes a great play on the football. It's been a big day for Rodney. He's got 124 yards on 5 catches and a touchdown. Here's the INT. Joe's had a pretty good day this time. Polineski jumps in front of it, set up a Chicago touchdown. And here is that touchdown. Adarkwa diving over right tackle. That evened up the game. Here's the play action from Furco back to Rodney Payton. Came up with the ball there. Little shuffle pass to Scotty Williams, who's been a huge factor in the first half. 90 yards rushing for Scotty Williams. Here's the boot. Sean Soroka. Elmhurst pulling away there, and we move into the second half.
21-7, the Blue Jays with the lead. The final touchdown you saw moments ago from Furco to Soroka. 2 touchdowns in the first half for Furco. The opening kick of the second half bounces at the 15 and is scooped up by Corey Tan at the 20-yard line, and Tan will work his way out towards the 30. And Danny Polineski with the stop for Chicago as Elmhurst begins the second half on offense. Tony, you talked a little bit about some of those numbers in the first half. Get a little more in depth, my friend.
How about 346 offensive yards? And it was a little bit sloppy in the early going for the Jays, but they managed to amass 38 plays, 346. 256 really snuck up for Joe Furco, but he's pretty effective in the air. All 90 yards on the ground through Scotty Williams on 18 carries. And how about 16 first downs for the Jays? Able to control the clock. They've had the time of possession won. We'll see if they can continue in the second half.
Elmhurst begins with an empty backfield for Joe Furco. Looking to throw right away. Looks right, over the middle, throws, it is caught. The catch is made by Bobby Vavlis, his 3rd reception of the game, and right away, a big gainer of 25 yards puts the Blue Jays on the Chicago side at the 44.
Absolutely terrific production. Vavlis able to find the seam. He's been very effective between the numbers, between the hashes. That's his 3rd catch of the day.
Joe Furco was 14 of 20 in the first half. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Elmhurst rolled off 346 yards of offense in the opening 30 minutes of play. Vavlis in motion to the near side. Scotty Williams with a handoff straight ahead. Picking up about a yard, falling to the 43. The Blue Jays in the first half held the ball for 15 minutes and 43 seconds, a slight advantage over Chicago, 14 minutes and 17 seconds. Turnovers right now, the only category really that Chicago is winning outside of rushing. The Maroons have forced 2 turnovers by the Blue Jays, one of which resulted in their only touchdown of the day, belonging to Francis Adarkwa. Chicago has had opportunities in this ball game to get closer, Tony. They've missed a pair of field goals that were both blocked by the Blue Jays, which could have made it a whole lot tighter, as there is a little bit of an equipment issue for Elmhurst. As jogging off the field is Brett Virgil. It looked like he had some problems with his chin strap.
Brett Virgil talking to the coaches before the game. Here's a guy that they didn't expect to contribute much in the 2 deep, but he's really stepped forward, and technique-wise, he's really impressed the coaches.
He'll be replaced by a freshman on the left side of the line. Scotty Williams follows the freshman through a hole to the 20, inside, spinning free to the 10, inside the 5, and to the end zone. Oh, just short of the end zone. The freshman I was speaking of, Chris Wild out of Downers Grove, Illinois, led the way. Look at the left guard. There he is.
Issuing the
Big block.
pass here for Scotty Williams. How about Charlie Hamoki escorting him down the field as well, and Williams does the rest downfield.
A pancake block for the freshman Chris Wild.
Welcome to college football, young man.
First and goal for Elmhurst at the 2-yard line on their first possession of the second half, leading 21-7. Furco with the I formation, and he looks for some help as hustling onto the field, Griffin Gibson. And call it the jumbo set for the Blue Jays. 2 blockers in front of Williams, who gets the call straight ahead and diving into the end zone for the touchdown.
Well, this has long been a staple of the Tim Lester offense. The power I formation down inside the 5-yard line and giving Chicago a little bit of their own medicine here.
27-7 as the Blue Jays convert on the opening drive of the second half. 12:56 to play, third quarter, and here is J.R. Delicandro looking for his 4th point after of the day. Out of the hold of Chaffee, it is up, and it's good. 28-7, the Blue Jays on top. A solid drive to start the second half. 70 plays, or 70 yards on only 4 plays.
Able to get some great movement up front. Jake, a look at this. You know, I got on the offensive line a little bit early on, but they've really gotten things going here.
Elmhurst last season scored a 31-6 win over the University of Chicago at Stagg Field in Chicago. Today, in the home opener for the Blue Jays in 2010, Community Day, Elmhurst leads 28-7 as they look for their 26th consecutive win in September. J.R. Delicandro will tee it up. Delicandro's kick, high and deep. From the 8-yard line, it's D. Brizolara. Moving right and swallowed up. Ryan Johnson, the sophomore safety with a special teams play. He's been making his name known on special teams for Elmhurst today.
Yeah, as a young player, you got to get in some way. Any way you can get on the field and contributing on special teams. Coverage units, here you see him here. Well, Brizolara not able to cut loose there. Johnson's fired up, and this is a big drive now. Looking at the second half for this Elmhurst defense. It's a Chicago offense that struggled to move the ball through the air. Dark were really the only offense, 120 yards on the ground.
And they've made a change at quarterback. Kevin Shelton entered for the last series of the half. Didn't know if that was to give Chicago an opportunity to try to make a deep strike. Apparently not, as their starting quarterback, Marshall Ohm, is out of the ball game. And the first attempt for Shelton here in the second half is complete for a gain of about 8 yards. Kevin Shelton had attempted only 2 passes in the first 2 games of the year for Chicago, both wins over Beloit and Concordia University Chicago. And he has taken over at quarterback for the Maroons in place of Marshall Ohm, who was just 8 of 21 in the first half. Motion, here's a Darkwa. On the give, straight ahead, first down distance to the 28-yard line.
Well, how about this one, Tim? We talked about the receivers. Clay Wolf in back-to-back weeks has been named the UAA Conference Player of the Week. He's got 16 passes for 296 yards coming into today. Today, how about 1 catch for 15 yards? Clay Wolf's been very quiet.
Passing game has been non-existent for Chicago. And that is something that they're clearly attacking early here in the second half, trying to not only that, but help Kevin Shelton feel comfortable under center as well as quick drops and throws. 4 or 5 yard gains here and there. Chicago will take it at this situation to try to keep their defense off the field.
Yeah, and it kind of gets your quarterback into a groove. You know, you're pitching and catching and getting things going here. But even Brizolara, here's a guy that combined with Clay Wolf for the past 2 weeks to get 23 catches for 400 yards. After the first half, the two of them had combined for only 47 yards. Keeping everything in front of them are the Jays.
Ball is spotted at the 32 after a pickup of 4. Shelton for Adarkwa. Adarkwa charging ahead again across the 40 for a first down. As Adarkwa brought down by Randy Wright. Adarkwa with 108 yards in the first half. But a lot of that came on one play. He broke free for 57 yards on one carry.
Yeah, one of the issues now the Blue Jays are dealing with is those offensive linemen in that zone game are getting up to Tuxson and Wright and Jones. Those defensive tackles in there, Jerry Beach and the crew up front, they have to take some pressure off the linebackers and let them make plays.
Shelton is pressured and he's dropped by Randy Wright.
Speaking of linebackers.
Spins him to the ground. Randy Wright with the first sack of the day for the Blue Jays.
Here he comes free, and it's just an odd man rush. The Blue Jays outnumber the protection scheme by the Maroons, and Wright's the man they leave open.
A big, big loss for Chicago. Loss of 10 on the play, back to the 32-yard line. And it is now a 2nd and 20.
Great time to screen for Adarkwa here.
Shelton takes the snap from the shotgun, rolls left, steps up, throws over the middle. It is caught by a Wolf who is drilled on the play by Jamal Lane, and a flag comes flying in as Lane went high on the tackle.
They're going to go helmet to helmet, and it looks like Lane got the worst of it, to be honest. He's calling off John Gruchot, who would be his backup. Here you see sprint out, coming back across the grain, and Wolf makes a heck of a play.
Looking left and throwing to the right. We've seen a lot of misdirection from both of these teams today, and there it is, helmet to helmet, clear as day.
Well, the issue in...
There's no flag on the play.
And he came in with the shoulder.
With the shoulder.
Yep. The issue in college sports is they definitely want to protect unprotected players. You know, and a receiver across the middle, obviously he's a clear target. I don't know that Lane on that play was malicious about it, and I think that the referee recognized that.
Well, and that's, I think, why he picked up the flag, because if he said you're leading with your shoulder, it means you're not leading with your head. You're trying to make that effort, and if your helmets happen to collide, then so be it. It is a big gain for Chicago.
And either way, Jamal Lane's on the sidelines, taking a look from the trainer here. John Gruchot will step in, who played in spots last year at corner. We'll see if they attack him.
Of 28 on the play. On one play, Kevin Shelton accumulates almost as much offense through the air as his predecessor, Marshall Ohm, one of the best quarterbacks in Chicago history, had put together in just under 2 quarters. 1st and 10 from the 41. 28-7, Elmhurst with the lead. Handoff to Adarkwa. Nothing there. Met immediately. You think the Blue Jays in the locker room said, we cannot let this man beat us?
Yeah. Averaging about 7.5 yards a carry coming into this third quarter. They have not had an answer for Adarkwa.
He has the only Chicago touchdown of the day. And has the longest play of the day from either side as well, a 57-yard scamper. No gain, 2nd and 10. 9 minutes left in the third. Adarkwa is to the left of Shelton. Motion, it is Adarkwa straight ahead, heading towards the 35-yard line and brought down there.
Adarkwa is nearing his carries total from last week against Concordia, where he carried 20 times for 123 yards. The difference is 4 of those carries were for touchdowns. This week they've been able to keep him out of the end zone, except for the one time.
Matt Street and Brandon Jones on the stop for Elmhurst. Brings up a 3rd and 5. Shelton over the middle, caught, but nothing there. Read perfectly by the Blue Jays as Demas stuffs Clay Wolf after the reception.
Hey, take a look at it here. Man-to-man coverage. Demas, like we talked about earlier in the broadcast, always in the right place at the right time. That time able to make a play on the slot receiver.
Gain of a yard, and the crowd trying to be fired up by some of the Blue Jay players.
And you got to think they're going to target Gruchot.
Ian Armstrong, one of the senior offensive linemen, trying to fire up the crowd on 4th and 3. The pass is incomplete. Too high for Wolf. In on the coverage for Elmhurst, John Gruchot, the sophomore corner.
Had a little cover 2 look here, Tim. Had a little cover 2, safety over the top. Number 1 receiver runs it off. Gruchot jumps the out route. Great coverage by the youngster.
(28-7) the Blue Jays lead. 7:45 to go in the third. Home opener for Elmhurst here at Langhorse Field today. As the Blue Jays will take over on offense. Got to figure one of the things that they're going to try to do here in the second half is to get that ground game moving a little bit.
No doubt about it. And you wonder if they're going to spell Williams here for a drive or two, but it is Williams in the backfield.
And it is a pass on the first play. Pressure coming. Furco is hit as he unloads. Too far for Vavris. Incomplete along the near sideline. In coverage for Chicago, Silmos.
Well, Coach Tim Lester has a reputation for being an aggressive play caller, and there you see it. The first drive of after turning the ball over, going right after it, and I like it. Defense is in a position where they have to make a play, and if you get a little one-on-one coverage, go ahead and get it out there.
Are you a fan of the Blue Jays on Facebook? Well, you have an opportunity to do that now. Elmhurst College Athletics on Facebook and Twitter. Find them today. 2nd and 10. Furco with a delay for Williams. Straight ahead, huge hole across midfield. Continuing to motor across the 40 and down to the 37-yard line.
See if we get another look at it. One of the things that jumps out at me in this play is Rodney Payton. Check him out at the end of the play here. He had a chance to go block a defender in the back, and he laid off it, allowed Scotty Williams to pick up the yardage, and Williams has got things rolling right now. That offensive line is moving some people.
Scotty Williams is over 100 yards today for the Blue Jays, the CCIW's Offensive Player of the Week. Put together 192 yards on the ground last week on just 16 carries. He's over 100 yards today. Reception by Ton to the 28-yard line. It is a gain of 11 and a first down.
And take a look at this, downfield. None other than Matt Sargent, who we talked about earlier in the game. What a motor this kid has at defensive end. Downfield, 8-10 yards, making plays on slot receivers.
Ton in motion. Furco hands to Williams. Looking for the left side, cutting back in, and nothing there. On his back, Joshua Barant, the freshman free safety for the Chicago squad.
Tim mentioned the Facebook page as you get another look at Scotty Williams here. Another great resource on the web is the Elmhurst College football homepage. You get to take a look at some video on there, and they have their photos up from their trip to Prague, where they spent a week playing overseas.
And you can, of course, access fine statistical information, among other things,
Sure.
at elmhurstbluejays.com. And then you can click on that football page. It'll take you right there. It has all the game recaps, the roster, anything and everything you would want to know on elmhurstbluejays.com. Furco with a pump fake. Looking for Peyton. Back corner of the end zone. Too far, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Emmett Carrier, the junior from Glen Ellen, in the back of the end zone. Third interception today for Joe Furco, who did not have a single pick in the first 2 games of the year.
Terrific protection again by the offensive line. Furco really does just force this ball here. He gets one-on-one coverage, but terrific position by Carrier. If you're inside and you're on top as a cornerback, you're in great position. Carrier takes advantage of that.
First pick of the season for Carrier. Chicago had 4 interceptions in the first 2 games. They've picked off 3 passes today. Shelton remains at quarterback, 1st and 10. Adarkwa picks up 2 on the first down carry.
One of the things that can keep a defense honest when you're running the zone option here out of the shotgun is actually pulling the ball every so often. Right now, by giving it to Adarkwa every single time, Shelton is letting the defense know, don't worry about me on the edge. And McGuire and Street on the ends are crashing down on Adarkwa. Shelton's going to have to pull it to make that play a little bit more effective.
2nd and 8. The Blue Jays leading 28-7 in the third quarter. Heading down to the final 5 minutes of the third. Shelton dropping back, pressure coming. He'll step out to his right, and he's hit as he throws, incomplete. He is popped on the play by Pete Alfano, the junior out of Orland Park, a name we've said a lot of today. The Blue Jays have really put some heat on the Chicago quarterbacks.
It's getting to the point now in the game where you see 4 wide receivers pretty much exclusively now for the Maroons. Going to have to move the ball downfield in a hurry, and that spells trouble when you have pass rushers like Alfano breathing down your neck.
Alfano worked his way around not just 1 but 2 offensive linemen to get to the quarterback, Shelton.
And they've started to get a little something going pressure-wise. Early in the game, they struggled a bit, but now they've gotten home a couple times.
3rd and 8. Overthrown, looking for the running back, Adarkwa. And Chicago will be forced to kick it away. Also want to mention one more time, BlueJayTV.com. Have an opportunity to go to BlueJayTV.com. You can catch any of our broadcasts live. BlueJayTV.com will feature all of the home football games live. There'll also be some soccer and some volleyball action on there in the fall. And you can also view the archives. So today's ball game can be viewed in its entirety on BlueJayTV.com. Very, very short kick taken at the 43-yard line by Corey Tunn, who is at midfield after a gain of 7 yards on the return.
Well, typically a low-line driver spells trouble for a coverage team, but they're able to manage to keep Tunn lassoed in that time. We'll see if they go back to the ground here, Tim, and establish some clock eating. See if they can get Williams rolling again. The offensive line seems to have it clicking.
It is a short field for the Blue Jays. Sean Soroka in motion to the left of Furco. Serves as a lead blocker for Scotty Williams, who follows him through for a gain of 8. Tripped up at the 42-yard line.
There you see Williams with another shot. Hey, when things are going right offensively in Tim Lester's offense, you're able to move some people up front. The second they commit that 8th defender into the box, now you're getting one-on-ones, and that's where you saw Rodney Payton make some plays. It seems Bobby Vavlis make some plays. If they can get the balance going and they can keep Scotty Williams active, and how about some Wildcat now, Tim?
Interesting. Rodney Payton lines up as the quarterback. In motion, he'll hand it off to Tunn. Tunn will get the first down. And he will leapfrog a couple of tacklers inside the 35 and down to the 34-yard line. There's a new look for you.
Yeah, they tried it once at Loris, and they fumbled the snap. It didn't really work out for them, but it's a great look, great change of pace. You get Tunn open in space, and anytime you can get Peyton the ball right away, I like that too.
1st and 10 for the Blue Jays. Under 4 minutes to play, third quarter. Elmhurst 28, Chicago 7. Furco dropping back, dumping off for Williams, who's hit but gets away. Keeps himself afloat with his right hand, and he works inside the 20-yard line. And the man who made the initial hit on Williams is down, Alex Zierbicki.
Take a look at this here, huh? Williams, terrific balance, terrific vision. You got to love this kid, Scotty Williams. Local kid here. A little bit undersized, but able to get things done.
First and 10. Furco in from the sidelines with the play. The offense has been moving since about the midway point of the second quarter today. And the Blue Jays are on pace to better their offensive output from last week. In fact, they have done so at this point. 488 yards. Furco with a pocket and time, a seam over the middle, incomplete.
Beautiful touch to Corey Tunn.
There's a look. Furco stepping up, throwing over the middle. Maybe a little bit high, perhaps, but through the hands of the 5'8" sophomore.
And certainly of note is the time that Furco's had now in the second half. Whatever pressure was there to start the game, it's been corrected. The offensive line has really come together here, giving Furco plenty of time.
Williams with a give, straight ahead, nothing there. He is met at the line by a host of Chicago players. Cameron Grimes in among them, along with Corey White.
How about the durability of this young man, Williams? Nearing 30 carries in the game, handful of receptions. We'll need to lean on him pretty heavily moving forward into the CCIW competition, but you hope that someone else can emerge and spell him for some carries.
3rd and 10. Soroka in motion. Furco rolling to his right, stepping up, throwing. Peyton's knocked down. A flag comes in.
No doubter.
Emmett Carrier with an interception moments ago, and now he's about to be called for pass interference.
Peyton had great position on this dig route here. Again, Furco rolling away from it, looking back the whole way for Rodney. Deep in route for number 4, and he had Carrier posted up.
Pass interference on the defense number 9, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
And so the Blue Jays, facing 3rd and 10, will pick up an automatic first down thanks to the pass interference, a 15-yard penalty. Spotting the ball down to the 5-yard line for Elmhurst, seemingly looking to put this ball game away with 2:31 to play in the third, already leading 28-7.
Well, what felt a little uncomfortable 2 quarters ago is certainly opened up here a little bit. The Jays really taking charge. And
a timeout taken by Chicago. First timeout of the second half. Elmhurst leading 28-7, and a quick check of the numbers. Told you the Blue Jays with 488 yards of offense, bettering their mark last week when Elmhurst racked up 421 yards in a 37-7 win. The biggest thing I think this week, Tony, is that it's come from all sides. Last week, really, it was the ground attack of Scotty Williams leading the way, 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. Joe Furco threw 125 yards and 2 TDs last week. Here today, Furco's over 300 yards, but Scotty Williams quietly, and I say quietly, has worked his way to 173 yards on the ground, because he really hasn't had very many big runs with the exception of one, a 41-yard strike. Take a look at some of our crew today here. Elmhurst, our kind of town.
Always better for the cameramen when it's not raining on top of the press box here.
Which it has not. It's overcast and cool. Lots of long sleeves and jackets on. I refuse to wear a jacket yet. It's
Still
only,
holding out.
It's only September 18th.
Sure.
Come on.
So when you go trick-or-treating, though, at that point, are you willing to at least put on a hooded sweatshirt?
Yes. That's another month and a half away.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about. October 1 is when I break out the coat. Rodney Payton targeted and knocked away.
Well, going right after it again. You're getting single coverage on the backside of the 3-by-1, and Payton not able to haul it in there.
Steve Silamos on the coverage, right out of the hands of Payton. Oh.
Little backdoor fade route. That's kind of the partner package to the lob ball they like to go with Payton. You get the cornerback thinking, I got to get on top of things, and you back shoulder it.
3 wide. Furco swings it out to Scotty Williams, who reels it in at the 10, dodges a tackler, scoots his way towards the goal line, and he's just short. 3rd and goal upcoming from the 1.
Williams on a little swing pass here. You got to take a look at it. He has the free safety. Francis Shelley dead to rights here. Whoop. Elmhurst knocking on the door of another score here, knocking on the door of almost 500 total yards.
And here's the power I. Looking for a 35-7 lead. Play action. Furco spinning, manages to dodge one, dodges two, and he's hit the third time. Oh, a clean and a hard hit from Justin Katarabic, the senior out of Caledonia, Illinois. Wow, that was a huge hit.
Take a look at this, Tim, as Furco keeps the play alive, and he's sort of known for this improvisation, but that time maybe taking it a second or two too far, maybe getting rid of the ball is a better idea. Now you're going to give Delacondro a shot.
Delacondro's first attempt was wide left. This will be a 29-yard try. Looking to make it a 31-7 advantage. Out of the hold, the kick is up. And it is through. 31-7, Elmhurst with the lead late in the third quarter as J.R. Delacondro finishes off another lengthy scoring drive for the Blue Jays.
Good to see JR finally getting his shot. He's been with the program now 4 years. He was behind, of course, Tyler Lomnicki, the program's, as you see Delacondro here again, the program's all-time leading non-scorer from a kicker position. But Delacondro's proven that he's got a little bit of a leg as well here, handling the kickoffs, extra points, and field goals.
Just inside the right upright, it's good enough. 37-yard drive for the Blue Jays. 29-yard field goal from Delacondro, his second field goal of the year. And now he has the honors of placing down the tee and leading the Blue Jays special team unit late in the third quarter with 52 seconds to play. And Elmhurst now on top 31-7. There is D. Brizolara deep to receive. Delacondro stepping to his left.
Boy, with all the struggles the offense has had turning the ball over, they still manage to put up very, very impressive numbers.
Brizolara from the 8-yard line. Angling right, chased by a couple of Blue Jays, and he'll step out of bounds across the 20 at the 21.
Coverage unit has been strong today for the Jays. They did give up one play that got called back on a penalty, but for the most part, the kickoff coverage has been solid. There you see John Gilligan rooting on his guys. Joe Adam there, the defensive coordinator. They've had a good plan today, Tim.
Yeah, they've got to be very pleased with what they've seen. Remember the first quarter. Go back to the first quarter, and you'll say that in the first quarter, teams kind of feel each other out to try to establish weaknesses, but the first quarter was pretty even from both of these squads. Elmhurst scoring with 22 seconds left to go up 7-0. And from about the midway point of the second on, it has been all Blue Jays. They have scored 24 unanswered points to lead 31-7. A gain of a yard on the play.
Well, at this point in the game, with the score the way it is, you've basically rendered Darkwa insignificant in the ground game. He might get some yards going forward, but the only way you're going to get back in the game from a Chicago perspective is to put the ball in the air.
Guy who had 108 yards on the ground in the first half has only 21 yards on the ground here in the third quarter. The Blue Jays have done a very good job of limiting him on 7 carries to just 3 yards per. Pressure on Shelton, who looks right and unloads for Brizolara for a first down out to the 35-yard line. And the third quarter comes to a close with Elmhurst leading by the score of 31-7. The teams will switch sides. And Elmhurst 15 minutes away from their 26th consecutive win in the month of September. Now, the question is this: how do you translate it into success beyond September? And we kind of talked a little bit about it. Obviously, there's a big difference between the non-conference schedule and the tough CCIW slate. But Elmhurst opens against North Park on the road. That's probably a good opportunity for them to really kind of set their tone for the season as we get a look at the big Scotty Williams run earlier. Just running over some tacklers. Williams with a 41-yard carry down towards the goal line.
Well, you mentioned the CCIW conference, and North Park in particular is a team that's struggled in the conference the past decade. It's been a while since they won a CCIW conference game, and Elmhurst has dominated the all-time series, holding a 34-11 lead with 2 ties mixed in. So you'd hope that North Park would be a team that you could handle, but you never know in the CCIW.
1st and 10 for Chicago. Beginning the third quarter, a swing pass to Tommy Parks, the junior, gaining 12 yards on the play out to the 47-yard line. And he first down. Take a look at the swing play towards the Chicago junior, who has missed most of the 2008 and 2009 seasons with injuries, and you see he wears a leg brace on his left knee.
A terrific player coming in as a youngster, and as a freshman, he was an instant impact in the Chicago program, but like you said, he's not been able to stay healthy.
1st and 10. Shelton throwing. Underneath route for Brizolara, shoved out near the first down marker, and a flag comes in. May have been a late hit. We talked about in the first half, the Blue Jays had penalty problems. 8 penalties for 73 yards. This will be their first of the second half, if it is indeed a late hit, and let's look.
Quick set, getting the ball out quickly, and this has been and it sure is. They're going to call him over the top, but getting the ball out quickly into the boundary, and Jamal Lane's been busy today, has been called early and often for the Maroons.
Well, one thing you don't want to do when you're trying to put a team away is give them free yardage deep into your territory. The penalty marches the Maroons forward to the Elmhurst 32. 1st and 10. Just underway, fourth quarter. Elmhurst 31, Chicago 7. 3 wide for Chicago. Little play action for Parks. Pass is thrown over the middle, knocked down twice, incomplete, looking for Clay Wolf. First time we've said his name here in the second half as well.
Yeah, really forcing it that time was the quarterback, Shelton. How about Randy Wright almost getting an opportunity to pick this ball off? Take a look at this.
That's
Ball's
a live
still
ball
alive.
right now.
Brandon Jones first, and here comes number 6 flying through your screen. That, folks, is an outside linebacker playing on the weak side, making a play down the seam.
2nd and 10.
Blitz coming for the Jays.
Shelton rolls around the blitz and throws it away. Miscommunication. He had Cisneros and Wolf both in the area, and they zigged when they should have zagged.
Well, Shelton, you don't know how many reps he gets during the week with Ohm, as he had mentioned, being one of the more productive passers in Chicago's history, but not familiar with the zig and the zag on that one.
Kevin Shelton, the sophomore out of Hickory, North Carolina, 6'2", 199. Facing a 3rd and 10 for Chicago, trailing 31-7 early in the fourth. Straight ahead, the give goes to Tommy Parks, and Parks will pick up about 5 inside the 30 down to the 27-yard line. Stopped on the play by Alfano for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and you wonder if our Dark was nicked up a little bit or if they've just decided to go with Parks for a few series here, but have not seen the Maroon tailback this drive.
He's standing on the sideline right behind their head coach, so I assume he's all right. He does have his helmet on just in case. Dick Maloney, the head coach of this Chicago squad. 4th and 5. Crowd comes to life again here at Langhorst Field. Tipped, nearly intercepted. It falls incomplete, but flags are flying in. The question is, was it after it was tipped?
Well, Randy Wright on this play, and you'll get a look at it here in the replay. Randy Wright diagnoses this thing from the snap. They try to run a little rocket screen with it. I'm not sure it didn't hit a lineman in the back of the head. They got a hand.
Below the waist on the offense, number 17. That penalty is declined.
That's a strange penalty to come flying in from the back.
It's insignificant at that point.
You heard the call, a block below the waist from Mike Cunningham. It's declined, and Elmhurst takes over, 1st and 10. 13-17 to play.
Great recognition by the defense there. And, You know, at this point in the game with 13-17 left on the clock, do you see Joe Furco come out for another round?
He will come out for another series, it appears.
And his full complement of starters as well, with the exception of Scotty Williams.
Say hello to some train passers-by in the background. Handoff to Griffin Gibson, his first carry of the day. He's gobbled up immediately, no gain.
You know, a young man we have not seen much of in this second half is Ryan Bach, the dynamic tight end for the Jays. He's had some injury problems last year, was concussed late in the season as well. He's on the sideline, helmet on, but you know, it's been a lot of Sean Soroka here in the second half. We hope Ryan's okay.
Andrew Tubeck, freshman out of Lake Villa, Illinois, is the running back. Furco feeling some pressure, fires to Tubeck, who makes the reception, but he's popped immediately at the line of scrimmage. Wolfgang Connell with the stop for Chicago over the middle.
Here you see Tubeck running a little Scotty Williams impression, running the slip screen, and everything I've heard from the coaching staff in regards to Tubeck is this kid is lightning in a bottle. When he gets going in the open field, he's gone. So they want to get him some more touches, work him in. You know, as a freshman, Tim, it's hard to grasp the offense right away. It's a little bit more complex than what you might be used to in your high school career. So these youngsters are coming along.
Soroka in motion to the near side. Furco with time, throwing over the middle for Payton, knocked away, incomplete, and a flag flies in.
That's a tough call.
Silmos standing there with his arms in the air. And he's chatting with Rodney Payton as they both walk away from the play.
You gotta look for the ball.
Salimos and Carrier have to be thinking at this point, what more can we do? Gets a hand in the back. Field judge sees that one.
Automatic first down.
It is an automatic first down for the Blue Jays. They'll march it 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. So instead of being 3rd and 10, it is a 1st and 10 with 11:56 to play. Out to the 42-yard line.
Salimos has to be looking up to the coaching box there and saying, can I get a safety on top? Can I get some help? But a lot of times coverage dictates, you know, routes that are run by the offense. That time a one-on-one situation. And Rodney Payton at 6'2", 195 can run like the wind. Tough matchup for any corner.
Yeah, he's had a tough day today, to say the least, after being named to the D3Football.com Team of the Week last week. A couple of interceptions, both in the second quarter, to help thwart scoring drives from Concordia University, Chicago. The give is to Griffin Gibson. He'll gain 5 yards across the 45 and out to the 47. 2nd and 5 for the Blue Jays. Clock is running. Elmhurst 31, Chicago 7. This was a 7-7 game early in the second quarter.
Yep.
Elmhurst has turned it over 3 times, but Chicago has only once turned it into points. Gibson again, off right tackle, crossing midfield, shy of the first down marker.
You're not going to get a lot of wiggle in Gibson's game. He's an upper-class student. He's been buried on the depth chart in recent years, but this year with an opportunity to back up Scotty Williams, he's going to get his shoulder pads square to the line of scrimmage and get downfield. But, you know, all you want out of Griffin is dependability to hang on to the football and to give Scotty some breathers when he needs it.
Junior out of Stevensville, Michigan. 3rd and 1 for Elmhurst. Play action. Furco avoids the rush, dumps it off for Tunn, who will pick up the first down, gaining 10 yards to the 39-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Salimos.
Little boot game here.
And it's a first down for Elmhurst.
Well, when the zone read's going well and you're running the football, suddenly you boot it off play action and receivers become open. So
Penalty flag flying in. Elmhurst may have broken the huddle with too many men. It is an illegal substitution against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's not uncommon at this point in the game either. So you have some different packages coming in, some guys that aren't necessarily comfortable with who's on the field when. So Coach Lester just has to kind of get it get it under control here with who's on the field and where they're supposed to be.
10th penalty of the game for Elmhurst, but again, a lot of those were in the first half. Leading 31-7. The carry goes to Tubeck, and he has it ripped away, but Tubeck is able to recover, pouncing on the loose ball back on the Elmhurst side of the 46.
Youngster getting an opportunity here, running the stretch. Keeping the ball high to his chest, but
good strip from Joshua Barant.
Yeah, good play. He had an interception earlier in the game. You get a look at some of the Maroon secondary. They've had some struggles today.
2nd and 23. 9.5 minutes remaining today. Elmhurst leading 31-7. Furco dropping back, looking for help. Pumping, flag comes in as he's dropped. 2nd sack of the game for Chicago. It belongs to Jake Longton.
Brad, you got to get more depth. Quit, hey, when he leaves, don't carry your inside hand.
Holding penalty against Elmhurst is declined, and Tony, they're going the wrong way here in the 4th quarter.
Clearly, you can hear, if you can catch the audio from the coaches, they're not happy with the performance. A little lackadaisical here by the offensive line. And this is not what you want to see late in the game. You want to keep it crisp. Unraveling a little bit here at the end, maybe kind of going on cruise control, Tim.
Sounds like a good time for a deep shot for Rodney Payton. 3rd and an eternity. 33.
Well,
3rd and 33.
Emmett Carrier is locked up over here.
Soroka in motion. The give is to the running back, Tubeck, who fumbled earlier. He'll work his way back towards midfield, just short, as he gains about 10 yards on the play. Polaneski in on the tackle for Chicago. Longton there as well. Punting time. Well, one thing they'll say is how many times you punt the ball. That's kind of a good indication of how your team is playing. Well, this will just be the 2nd punt of the game for Elmhurst.
Mm-hmm.
The first covered 53 yards from Bobby Lesueur. High snap for Brian Lesueur. Short kick. Angling to the right side, bouncing at the 22, rolling to the 20-yard line and just short of the 20, stopping at the 21. Chicago takes over with 8:03 to play. As Brian Lesueur with the kick for the Blue Jays.
Going to see a full complement of new faces on the defense. Defensive line remains intact, but the secondary, some new faces. Randy Wright still out there, so we're sprinkling in some new players. Give the youngsters an opportunity.
Kevin Shelton still at quarterback for Chicago. He'll swing it to the right edge, complete for Tommy Parks. Spinning free of one tackler, and he's brought down at the 26-yard line. Randy Wright on the stop, very slow to get up, favoring his right leg.
Yeah, that's one of the issues at this point in the game when the game's under control and you seem to have it in hand. To leave number 6 out there, as reckless as he can be, you're always taking that chance.
Injuries bothered him a lot during the 2009 season, and he is on the sideline. Pass is complete to Brizolara across the 30-yard line, close to the sticks.
No, in relation,
signal a first down.
In relation to what you just mentioned with the injuries, you know, Randy, as we were calling the games a year ago, early on in the season he was held out of a couple of games, didn't play in the non-conference, still managed to lead the CCIW in tackles, playing only in 7 games, but he's a battler. It's hard to keep him off the field.
Shelton hands off to Parks, and Parks is trapped in the backfield. Tackled by Dan Vicari.
There you see Coach Lester, and in relation to his second team here, one of the neat things they do at practice is Every time during the summer camp at the end of practice, they allow the freshmen to go at the freshmen. They call it street ball, and they give these guys some real game action, well, scrimmage action against one another, which is kind of a neat deal for the young guys.
Here's Parks again, straight ahead towards the 40-yard line.
No better way to gain experience than to actually spend some time in between the white lines. You know, watching film is great. And, you know, practice, you can get a lot out of it, but once you're out there on that grass, it's a little bit different game.
Matt Legg and Dan Vicari coming up for Elmhurst to post the tackles. 3rd and 2. Down to 6 minutes left on this Saturday. 31-7, Elmhurst on top. Reception from Clay Wolf across the first down marker out to the 45-yard line. Driven out of bounds by John Gruchot. It's a first down for Chicago as they come through.
Here you see Gruchot. It's been a favorite play today, the Maroons. Go quick out to the boundary, and Gruchot's up for the challenge. Played quite a bit last year in spots.
Well, one of the reasons for that being a favorite play, number one, there has been no time for either quarterback for Chicago today to throw. Number two, there's been great coverage downfield. A lot of motion before the snap. This will not count as it was another short underneath play for Brizolara. But it'll back the Maroons up to the 40-yard line, 1st and 15.
Well, sure, if the young man's going to collect 12 or 13 receptions in a game, but he's going to stay under 50 yards, I think you take that as a defensive coordinator. There you take a look at Kirkpatrick and Personius, a couple of the offensive linemen that have paved the way for Scotty Williams and his crew.
Timeout Chicago with 5.5 remaining. It's a 31-7 lead for the Blue Jays, who took control at the midway point of the second quarter today. The Blue Jays scoring the go-ahead touchdown with 6:54 left in the first half. Followed it up moments later with a touchdown less than 2 minutes after the score from Rodney Payton. Sean Sirocco with a 13-yard touchdown pass. Scotty Williams has scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, and J.R. Delicandro with a field goal today as well for the Blue Jays, who have all together put together another fine performance on offense, 490 yards today.
Looking to extend the winning streak against Chicago to 8 games.
Swing it to Parks. Sidestepping a tackle, crossing midfield, and he's tripped up. A big gain for Parks on the quick swing. Tyler Demas on the stop. Ball will be moved to the 42-yard line.
They've gone to that swing pass a few times here in the boundary, forcing the linebackers to get outside and make a play.
Hurry up offense. Kevin Shelton with the Blue Jays showing blitz coming through. Passes over the middle and caught by a Wolf, who's dropped by Demas again. And Demas will let Clay Wolf know about it.
Well, it's the starting offensive line, and here you say Wolf in there as well. Wolf and the rest of the complement of the Maroon offense is out there still, working against the 2s and 3s of Elmhurst. But if you're out there right now in a blue jersey, you got to take some pride and turn them away.
4:55 to go, 31-7. Fake handoff goes to Parks, who will waltz into the end zone untouched. Elmhurst was thinking swing pass, which Chicago had done the short underneath routes repeatedly here in the second half. And on the delay, Parks untouched into the end zone for the score.
What's alarming on that play is just how easy the offense moved down the field against the second and third teamers for the Jays.
Parks, who scored a touchdown last week, records his second touchdown of the season here this afternoon. And Chicago has an opportunity to pull within 31-14. It would bring them within 17 points today, as Jeff Sauer, who has had some problems on the field goal side of things, lines up for his second extra point attempt, and it's right down Main Street. 31-14, Elmhurst with the advantage here at Langhorst Field on Community Day. Tommy Parks with the touchdown for Chicago. Get a second look.
Sure. Linebackers are certainly out of position here.
That's a good sell by Shelton, I think.
Yeah, Matt Legg nowhere to be found in the middle of the defense there. See Dan Vicari busting outside to stop that swing pass you mentioned, and Parks gets clear sailing to the end zone.
24-yard score.
You know, on film tomorrow, they don't stop watching it at the third quarter. So these youngsters and these
Is he listening to us? Or is he listening to Mark Roberts, perhaps?
Not a reaction, so I'm assuming he's on the radio broadcast. But, you know, one of the things these young fellows are going to look at tomorrow is some of the mistakes that they've made, and certainly the coaches will try to correct that.
Maybe he's listening to the Cubs. Are they still playing? Yes. Onside kick attempt upcoming for Chicago. Or they lined up like it was going to be an onside, and instead they'll try to chase it down as nobody's back for the Blue Jays. Ton will pick it up at the 10 to the 20, working his way to the right, and he's hit and dropped. Ian Lazaris on the tackle for Chicago. Kind of a odd play is show onside kick, bring everybody up. Elmhurst thinks onside kick, and then they just try to scoot past the Blue Jays to get to the loose football, which obviously didn't happen.
Well, if you're going to do that, I don't think you want to put it down to the 15-yard line.
Chip it in the air.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you want to get some air underneath it if you're going to do that?
Well, you figure they put on the put the ball on the ground here and milk the clock a bit. Try to get out of Langhorst with their first home victory of the year. Too many men in the huddle.
Penalty flag flies, another substitution problem for Elmhurst.
Very sloppy here in the late going.
The 11th penalty of the day.
Look at that little guy. He's already in his Halloween costume.
Dressed as a football. How about it? Just don't pick him up and start playing pigskin on the sideline there.
Punting him or something, right?
4:40 to play, 31-14. Elmhurst with the advantage. Joe Furco remains in the ball game, simply handing it off at this point. Griffin Gibson with the honors. Penalty yardage +2 for Gibson out to the 25-yard line.
Well, Tim, what do you take away from today's game? Obviously, we've had some ups and downs. Certainly, we've moved the ball, as you see Griffin here taking it off a right guard. I mean, what do you take from a game like this?
I'll tell you what I take, and what impresses me the most coming out of this game are the coaching adjustments that have been made by the Blue Jays throughout. We talked about those first quarter struggles, and especially in the first half, at halftime, they went in, addressed some things, came out, and the problems they made in the first half, the mistakes they made, haven't been there here in the second. I think it's been a very fine job of coaching today by Tim Lester and his staff as Gibson looks for the outside corner, picks up the first down as a flag flies in out to the 35-yard line. Would you agree?
I would. And
I know the scoreboard's going to say it's 31-14, and that's an impressive win for this Elmhurst squad when it all is said and done in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. But I think you have to look at the way that the coaching staff handled the ball game today and address the problems they were having, and the in-game adjustments 25. Is one of the biggest changes.
Second down.
Well, certainly the ability of the offense to work within different situations as well. You mentioned earlier in the game the short field that they had gotten early, but also they've demonstrated an ability to move the ball down the field with the yardage they've amassed too. So they've done it a few different ways.
There is the Elmhurst coaching staff on the sidelines. You get a good look at those patches we were talking about earlier on as well.
Good look at the coach's box upstairs, too, and it's a good staff. They've been in place now for a few years. Coach Lester has really dug into the university here, and he's gotten the guys in place that he wanted.
2nd and 14, straight ahead. Andrew Tubeck gains about 8 yards across the 30 to the 32. 3rd and short.
You know, going forward with the season, it's going to be the ability to keep things balanced. You know, as you see here, Tubeck running the football. If Tubeck and Williams and Gibson can keep the ground game steady for the Jays, it's going to make life a lot easier for number 7.
Tubeck is the running back, 3rd and 3. With the carry, hit in the backfield and dropped. Stopped by Joe Tripolikitis, sophomore defensive lineman for Chicago, and the Blue Jays will bring on that kicking unit for the 3rd time in the ball game. But again, if it's late in a contest and the game's all but out of reach, when your punter's coming onto the field for the 3rd time, you don't mind.
I think you feel good about that, yep.
Ian Gaines, the deep man for Chicago, standing at his 32-yard line as you get a look at the freshman from New Jersey. Here's the punt attempt for LeSueur, and it's a good one. Backing Gaines up to the 25, who is tripped up and stopped by Dane Paul. Special teams play from Dane Paul. He's done it all on special teams and on defense today for the Blue Jays.
Dane Paul, a fourth-year guy out of Central Illinois. Great play, the senior showing up on special teams. He's not done yet.
Less than 2 minutes remaining. 31-14. Elmhurst on top. 4 wide receivers for Chicago. Shelton will take a shot a little bit deep downfield. Brizolara with the reception, spinning away to the far side, cutting inside, continuing to remain on his feet, following his blockers. Now he's back on the Elmhurst side. Shelton sets a block, and he's on the near sideline and tripped up at the 40-yard line, which is exactly where he was on the opposite side of the field when he decided to completely come around, and a penalty flag will fly in late.
Well, my issue with this one is with Rich Dastis. You see him pop a shoulder into Brizolara, that's not going to work. You wrap him up, you put 2 hands around the ball carrier.
So he's at the 41 when he turns directions, and he got to the 40. So he gained a yard by doing all of this movement you're seeing right now.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Offense number 64. Oh, I'm sorry. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 64. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Mike Van Roten from Chicago, charged with unsportsmanlike conduct with 1:38 to play in the ball game, negating a big play for Chicago. The stats will still count, but It's going to back up the Maroons to the Elmhurst 45.
Well, you're in the mix over there with a lot of blue jerseys, and I'm not sure his mouth didn't get the better of him on that one.
Shelton, who moments ago was seen as a blocker for his receiver Brizolara, will throw over the middle, too high, incomplete. Looking for Cisneros, who turns around and throws his arms in the air and says, really? I don't think you're going to get that call with 1:33 to play in the ball game, down 17.
I would have been interested to be in that defensive huddle with defensive coach Joe Adam and see what he said to his second teamers, because they looked disconnected on the last drive, out of position, and I'm sure he lit a fire under them.
Shelton will shovel for Parks, who lowers his shoulder and collides with Dan Vicari. A flag flies in after a gain of just 3 on the play.
Boy, the referees have not gotten the memo. They're still working.
And it's a personal foul against Elmhurst.
Well, Vicari.
It's a 13th penalty today for Elmhurst.
Randy Wright's back up here. Dan Vicari makes a nice play in the hole against Parks. Perhaps against Rich Dastis coming in late.
1st and 10 from the Elmhurst 37-yard line. Clock is running with 1:15 to play. Shelton will roll left. He'll come back, throw to his right. The catch is made by Brizolara, whose numbers are rapidly increasing here in the second half. He's now up to 11 receptions today after posting just 4 catches in the first half.
But
a lot of those are for underneath yards.
Yep.
He's averaging less than 10 yards a catch.
Just approaching the 100 yards at this point, so.
And that got him a whopping yard. 2nd and 9. Parks to the right of the quarterback, Shelton. Shelton looks, throws deep. Brizolara's open, and he'll make the catch into the end zone for a touchdown. 31-20 with 1:01 to play. Chicago is not going away. One of the things they are doing here, it seems like, Tony, Dick Maloney has left a lot of his first-team players in the ball game to say, hey, we've got to have something to build on heading into our next game.
No doubt about it. Yeah, absolutely. Build some confidence going here. And defensively, you can't make excuses for yourself either. You're a football player. You're a college football player, and you have to be well prepared out there. That time was Gruchot. Now, Gruchot is a guy who's seen a lot of time with the first team, so there's no excuses.
Chicago's on the road next week, heading to Wabash. Boy, it certainly doesn't get any easier for them. The Maroons will go for 2. Shelton scurries right, throws into the back corner, too high and out of the reach of Wolf. 31-20 the score with 1:01 to play in the home opener for the Blue Jays here in 2010. Chicago has outscored Elmhurst 13-0 here in the fourth.
So get a look at Shelton here. He's played fairly well here in the second half. You wonder going into next week against Wabash what the approach will be from the quarterback position.
.101 remaining.
Certainly an onside kick situation here.
Then again, we thought that on the last touchdown, the Maroons were able to score here in the fourth quarter as well. Well, Marshall Ohm, the starting quarterback for Chicago, is on the sidelines, still in uniform and chatting with his teammates. The onside kick is loose. It's on the ground, and Chicago thinks they picked it up. We'll await an official call. The official on the far side signaling an illegal touch, I believe, and he's going to give it to Elmhurst. Chicago came up with it, but I don't think it traveled the 10 yards. That is correct.
That young lady there says Elmhurst ball.
You're going to put me on your shoulders, Tony? You've carried me all day. Maybe I should put you on my shoulders. You like that one?
Where's the rim shot when you need it?
Come on, you're the guy who was giving me the whoop earlier, so you gotta provide it yourself there, buddy.
The sound machine is ready to go. I'll have some more for you later in the year, but good win for the Jays. They're going to milk this thing out here, and
Chicago does have one timeout remaining. So Elmhurst will have to run at least one real play here, which is to say they'll probably have to hand it off, and they do. Griffin Gibson picks up about 4 yards to the 35-yard line. We'll see if Chicago will even use their timeout. Clock is running 49 seconds to play, and the Maroons will not stop it. 12-second difference between the play clock and the game clock. Elmhurst will need to run one more play to put the finishing touches on a 3-0 start to the 2010 season.
Well, Tim, I would be remiss if I did not ask you what your opinions are of the light blue EC shield now donning the helmets, the Blue Jays. Are you for it?
I like it.
A little bit of an alternate color.
Furco will drop back and take a knee, and the final 16 seconds of the game will tick off. Final score, Elmhurst 31, Chicago 20. I bet it'll look really nice if they have white jerseys or powder blue jerseys to go with it.
It'll look great as they ring that bell here in a few minutes as well.
Elmhurst handing the University of Chicago their first loss of the season as the teams head through the customary post-game handshakes. On this community day here at Langhorst Field, we take a quick look at some of the final numbers from the contest. Elmhurst finishing the ball game with 515 yards of offense.
Goodness gracious.
Wow. 69 plays for 515 yards. Pretty balanced as well. 195 on the ground and 320 in the air. Scotty Williams, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, following up his performance last week in which he scored 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. 31-20 is the final score as the Blue Jays heading through the huddles. And we look back at some of the highlights from the ball game today. There is Joe Furco, who threw for 320 yards in the ball game.
Bobby Vavlis there making a play. And how about Scotty Williams today? 173 yards and 25 carries, 2 touchdowns. Also a factor in the passing game, 3 catches for 50 yards.
You hate to say it was a quiet 173 yards,
Is
but
there
really,
such a thing?
Really it was, because the offense was flowing so well. And that's what I talk about, the adjustments. They just kept giving him the football, as you see him here picking up a couple of yards as well. And there is the bell that the Blue Jays will ring here at Langhorst Field on this Community Day, celebrating a 31-20 win over the University of Chicago. Elmhurst victorious as the bell begins to toll on our broadcast here today. That'll do it for our contest as Elmhurst improves to 3-0 on the season. They are once again unbeaten in the month of September, as Elmhurst will not play next week. They'll have a bye week heading into their CCIW opener at North Park. They've won 26 games in a row in the month of September, and they are 3-0 heading into the CCIW staff. Well, big thanks to Tony Minestra for joining me today, and thanks to our staff as well here from Langhorst Field on the campus of Elmhurst College. Our director, the fine fullback from Wheaton College, Dennis Bergen, and our producer, Jeannie Urich, and our entire crew. We'll talk to you again soon. I'm Tim Calderwood. 31-20, the final score. Elmhurst with the win. Thanks so much for watching today.
Hi, I'm Elmhurst Police Chief Steve Neubauer. Elmhurst is a great place to live and work. However, we are not crime-free. Many people in our community become victims of crime simply because they did not lock their belongings. I would ask you to do two things. First, lock your car, house, and bike. Secondly, call 911 to report suspicious activity to the Elmhurst Police Department. The Elmhurst Police Department reminds you to lock it or lose it.
I have had a great experience at Elmhurst. I'm obviously involved with the volleyball program. We're like sisters. It was instant friends as soon as I came here. Every year, the seniors get to pick places where we want to go for a tournament. So we've been to California, Colorado, Boston, and it's just been a fun experience because not only do we play volleyball, we also get to do touristy types of things. I would say we're pretty close because we practice 5 days a week for 2.5 hours. We're lifting, we're doing bonding things, and we're traveling on the weekends. So you're pretty much with these girls for 3 months every single day for hours. So we're all pretty close.